Lawyers. Now, Hangin with Hester and Hanny with Jacob Hester and Charles Hanagriff. Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger. Alongside Jacob Hester, here's Charles Hanagriff.
Good afternoon and welcome to Hangin with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. If you're listening with us up on 1130 The Tiger in Shreveport, if you're watching along with us on CST or on YouTube, Hangin with Hester and Hanny page, 104.5 ESPN page, we welcome you in. Josh Ward on the audio board, Paul O'Neill on the video board, along with Jacob Hester, I'm Charles Hanagriff, and we welcome you in on this Veterans Day. We say thank you to all our veterans to open up the show today. Yesterday was the Marine Corps' birthday. Today is Veterans Day, so we say thank you to all of you who have served for your service.
Absolutely. Shout out to everyone who has served. Shout out to my pops and both of my grandfathers. It is something that is extremely selfless and the ultimate sacrifice. So thank you so much for doing that. We appreciate your service every day, not just today.
Lots going on today. We've got another cancellation in the SEC. We've got a lot of news from Ed Orgeron, particularly involving Myles Brennan. Today is the opening of the early signing period for basketball. We've got that going. It's the day before the Masters. So a lot of things that we'll cover today. So we'll talk with Billy Lucci from TexAgs.com a little bit before the bottom of the hour. Billy's pretty plugged in on league issues as well as what's going on at Texas A&M. Of course, their game was canceled yesterday, postponed if you prefer, along with LSU's and now two others in the league this week. So we'll talk with Billy. And then we'll talk with Billy Embody from Go247 at 1 o'clock as the early sign period. LSU's already got one signee in. They will have three, we hope, before the end of the day. We'll talk a little bit about basketball recruiting in the first day of the early signing period. Scott Rabelais at 1:30. He is ordinarily at the Masters, but is not in person this year. But he's pretty plugged into what's going on.
I bet that hurts, Rabs.
It does. It's his favorite trip of the year. So we'll talk with Scott about that. Mike Golic Jr. will be with us in the 2 o'clock hour today, talking all things college football. And
big win for his Irish, too.
Yeah, very big win for his Irish. And Dr. Stephen Etheridge at 2:30. We'll try to get an idea on what abdominal surgery is like, because that's where we start today. And not that this came as a huge surprise, but it's more of a confirmation of something that Ed Orgeron led into on Monday, and that is the nature of Myles Brennan's injury and what his immediate future entails.
Yeah, it's an abdominal thing. It's abdominal and the hip, so it is both. It could be. We're looking at the injury, and we're looking at see if he can come back through rehab, or if the best thing would do to go ahead and go through an operation that would help him out. So we haven't made a final decision. It doesn't look like he's going to be back unless some miraculous thing happens.
So that's about as close to 100%. That's in the 99%, I would say, range. And this isn't one of those things where you have to make a decision on eligibility. A lot of times you have to do that. You have to weigh the risks of bringing a guy back versus the rewards of him potentially having a whole year to come back. In other words, we used to call this burning a red shirt. It's kind of a dated term now with the new rule. But even so, that's not on the table here. It might have been on the table in a normal year if he had played, 3 games, which he did. Then would you want to play him in a 4th and a 5th and maybe not anymore? None of that's on the table. So this is purely medical. Can he play? No. Right now he can't play. Couldn't have played this week had they played Alabama. You got 5 games left, maybe. We'll get to that in a minute. Is it worth bringing him back, or should you just go to a surgical procedure now where that will fix the problem and hopefully that you would have him back. And I don't know what the recovery time is on that. I'll save that for Dr. Etheridge. But whatever time it is that you can get back to full speed faster if you start it now.
Yep, go ahead, get it started. If you don't feel like you can come back with as much rehab as you possibly can do in this certain window, go ahead, have the procedure so he can get ready for spring of 2021. So he can be in the fourth quarter program that you start in February. So he can be a part of all that stuff because he's still your guy next year. I don't think there's anything that these quarterbacks can go out there and do and unseat Myles Brennan as far as coming into the season as the starting quarterback. So go ahead, get it done. That way you can be a part of every single thing. And you can be on the sidelines. You can do whatever you have to do to try to help these young quarterbacks. But if he's not able to go, there's no point in delaying it, because if you try to delay it and all of a sudden you're in the end of December, beginning of January, and you say, you know what, it's not going to work out. Let's go ahead and let's have that surgery. And then what if he misses spring practice? I think that could hinder his progression. I know it's a small sample size, but there was a lot to like what Myles Brennan was doing in the first couple of games of the season. So in my opinion, there's no point in delaying it if you don't think he can be back.
The last time he played was October the 10th. That was against Missouri. That'll be 5 weeks to Saturday when he would not have played. For the moment, we'll say that LSU is going to play a game against Arkansas or whoever on Saturday, November the 21st. That's the window. That 4 to 6 weeks was about what they thought, that rest and rehab, might be ready to go. Well, that didn't happen. So now you go to the next step. That's what seems like he's headed for. If you have the surgery now, the sooner you have the surgery, the sooner you can start your recovery. And that just seems like that's the direction that they're going to go. So we started with that, which was the Myles Brennan thing, which has made national news. You know, he was LSU starting quarterback to start the season, and right now it doesn't look like he's going to be back. So then the next thing is, when are you gonna play next, or better yet, who are you going to play next? LSU's next scheduled game is with Arkansas a week from Saturday. But Tigers aren't the only ones trying to make up games once the regular season, the original amended regular season. You get what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and listen, we want to play Alabama, so whatever happens, we're going to be ready to play. And I understand Greg Sankey's position. This is a fluid deal. But I tell you what, those guys have done a tremendous job of getting us to play. I'm happy we're playing. We knew this stuff would happen this season, so we just got to be ready to go. Whoever they tell us to play, we'll be ready to play.
I've seen multiple fixes to the schedule, and that's fine. You can move the Arkansas game around if you want to. You can move the Ole Miss game around if you want to. You can play Alabama a couple of different ways. Problem is that the season's not over yet, and right. LSU's not the only school that's got to reschedule games. And I keep going back to something Scott Woodward told us at a very early point about what would happen if there were cancellations. And the rescheduled games would go in the order of most relevant to the conference race. I think we need to start getting our heads around the idea that they're not going to be able to reschedule all the games for all the teams. That's a very real possibility, and you're just about to the point now where they're going to have to be games sacrificed. So which games are going to be sacrificed? And that's why you don't see a full schedule of reschedules at this point. Everything they've said is tentative, including the LSU game against Florida. When they rescheduled that for December the 12th, they said, well, this is tentative. Well, why is it tentative? That's the only game you've lost. Because it might not be the only game that you lose overall.
And that December the 19th date that we keep throwing out there, again, we don't know how they're going to utilize that day, knowing the SEC championship game is that day. And again, you're not going to put a team in that date that still technically has a chance to get to Atlanta. They're not going to do that, because then if all hell broke loose and they got to Atlanta, then what do you do? So it's not a case of, let's just put this game in the 12th and we'll put this non-contender at the 19th. You've had too many misses now 4 games canceled this week. LSU's had one canceled. Florida's had some canceled. Missouri's already had some canceled. So some of these teams are falling into the same thing. It's not only their first game. So how do you make up all these games? Is it going to be fair if one of the championship teams has to play, the other gets a bye before going into the SEC championship game? That's something they have to take into account. It's going to be messy. They're going to have to dig deep into the bag of protocols to try to find out which way they're going to go here, because Arkansas and Florida, I think it's going to be played, but that's a game that who knows what can happen. We could hear Sam Pittman, we know, is not coaching in that game. What if somebody from Arkansas, what if there's a position group that spikes up here? So the SEC's got a real situation on their hands, because multiple teams missing multiple games, and LSU having games that got postponed against who's probably going to be in Atlanta, both teams.
You're going to have to start looking at what's left on the schedule and what you want to prioritize at some point. For instance, you could put LSU Alabama in the week after the regular season. You could put them into the final week of the regular season. You could move Ole Miss to the 19th. You could do that. What happens if the Iron Bowl gets canceled? Wouldn't Alabama want to play the Iron Bowl?
Meltdown.
You know, right. Wouldn't they want to play the Iron Bowl? What if to a lesser extent, sorry, but what if the Egg Bowl got canceled? Dixon's listening. Sorry, I know it's upset your family, but
sorry, Rivers.
What if some of these other games that they got Georgia, Florida in? I would tell
Florida,
you
Georgia.
That whatever.
Give them their respect. They whipped them.
They were the road team this year. The Florida Georgia game, they got that game in. That was among the most important games
it was.
to get in, but it's not the only one that they've got to get in. So what's priority? What matters? What matters the most?
I know we're up against a break here, but the standings actually work out in the SEC's favor in the fact that you pretty much know who's going to be in Atlanta. It would take Florida having a giant trip up. It would take Alabama having a giant trip up, because remember, they have the tiebreaker over Texas A&M, so they would have to lose 2 games for them not to be in Atlanta. Florida, they have already a game up and the tiebreaker over Georgia. That Florida's there. Florida's in Atlanta right now, and Alabama, again, they're in Atlanta. So that actually helps them out, and they kind of know which teams are going to be in Atlanta, so they know which games matter the most, which ones they have to make up, where it's not a case where you might have 3 in the East, 3 in the West, are all bunched up there together, and there's tiebreaker scenarios. It's pretty much laid out for you right now.
We'll take a break. We got more from Coach O. When we come back, we are brought to you by Richard Tonda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny. We opened up the playbook and expanded our coverage. Listen daily in high definition on 98.1 HD2. We are 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Do you know someone who sets a good example for all of us to follow? Someone who shows leadership, selflessness, and service to their community without being asked? We think that's the definition of a good citizen, and so does Citizens Bank and Trust. If you know someone who exhibits all of these qualifications, nominate them for a Good Citizen Award, and they could receive $500 from Citizens Bank. And we'll recognize them here on the show. Get the details at citizensbankandtrust.com, and then nominate your good citizen.
I'm feeling good. So good. I just thought you should know.
What do Honda lovers look forward to this time of year? Aside from family, turkey, and pie, happy Honda days at Richard's Honda. It's that time of year when everything is at clearance prices. And since we're stocked up on inventory, you'll have plenty to choose from. Over 700 in stock at transparent prices. Happy Honda days makes happy customers. Come see why people call Richard's Honda the smart choice. I-12 at Millerville Road and richardshonda.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Toyotathon is happening now at Corval Toyota in Opelousas.
Get into a 20 Camry for $297 a month.
So come on down to Happy Town for Toyotathon. That's Corval Toyota in Opelousas.
Happy Town, USA.
Coming up on Thursdays Off the Bench, we'll update wherever the crazy SEC schedule currently stands. Plus, LSU Executive Chef Michael Johnson answers all your Munchies questions. Hall of Famer Morton Anderson stops by. Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
Today's show brought to you in part by Supreme Rice and our friends down in Crowley, Louisiana. They've been doing it since the 1930s. So support our Louisiana farmers. All Supreme Rice grown, milled, and processed right there in Southwest Louisiana. And, Supreme Rice will be the perfect complement to any dish that you may want to serve, whether it's an etouffee, whether it's a jambalaya, whether it's a gumbo, just regular old rice and gravy or rice and red beans and rice. Do it with Supreme Rice. You can get it at any of your local AG food stores, all your Walmarts, all your Costco's. Listen, we're cooking at my house. We're doing it with Supreme Rice. You can try in the brown or the long grain. The jasmine rice, they all come in the 5-pound bags now, and you can stretch your food dollar. So if you're making plans to have a big pot of something this weekend, do it with Supreme Rice. For great recipes, good ideas, and for more information, go to supremerice.com. The rumor that went around on LSU's, I hate to use the term outbreak, but on the COVID cases, seemed to stem from a Halloween party that some of the players had attended. This was Coach O addressing that this morning.
No, I know nothing of that, Jock. And to be honest with you, most of our guys at the house through quarantine, contact tracing. I didn't hear that. I heard it, but not from any of our players. But I can't ask them. And obviously, I told them yesterday that if that is going on, I don't want them at any parties. We have a rule: no bars during the season, no bar rooms during the season. So, I think guys are going to go to parties, but they got to be careful.
Jake, I think there's a certain amount of control you can have over the team, and at some point, they're going to come into contact with other people outside of the outside of the building. Now, going to a Halloween party, if some of them did, probably not the smartest thing to do. They went out to Tigerland in the summer. We remember that story, and so he put that off limits. But at some point, they're going to want to get out, and they haven't played a football game in 3 weeks, so there's some time out there on the hands. If it was an actual Halloween night party, that's probably a little bit more disturbing because it came after a pretty bad loss. But que sera. How much control do coaches have over players once they leave the building?
It's difficult, obviously. I mean, these are college kids, and they're going to go their own ways, and you try everything you can. And you're not trying to be a dictator, but you know what's best for the program. You know what's best for them, and you're trying to look out for them. And it's something that worked for them extremely well last year. You're right, no bars, no going out. Let's focus on the season. Let's do our schoolwork. Let's do all the things we're supposed to do. And different coaches have different rules. Coach Myles was, hey, you're not going to go out on Thursday night. You're not going to go out, obviously, on Friday night. That's off limits. If we catch you out, you're not going to play. That was his rule. He didn't like you going out any nights, but he said on Thursday nights, what was his go-to names? I think it was go meet up with little Sally and go to a picture show. Go watch a great movie. Get you some popcorn.
Get them malted.
You can share it. You can hold hands if that's what you want. You know, he'd go through the whole list.
Yeah.
But, you know, everybody's a little bit different, but you have to trust your leaders. You have to trust your team. You can't hover over them. Look, coaches send guys out on Thursday nights to see if you're in the bars. They absolutely do. Strength coaches, video guys, equipment guys, whoever they can get. They send those young guys out on Thursdays, and they're pretty much narcs. They're telling exactly if somebody was at the bar, what bar they're at, and that absolutely happens. But at the end of the day, you can only control so much, and so you've got to tell them why, and it's up to them to know that why is more important than going out and having a couple of cold pops.
Why did you not go out when you didn't go out? Not you specifically, but I'm trying to think of instances where in the 07 season, in the 19 season, you never heard about any of these problems because the players pretty much policed themselves. And why did they go? Dixon's told this story 100 times. They made all of the workouts before the 07 season in the summer.
Yep.
Not everybody made them all before the 08 season.
Right.
This becomes policing, internally by the team. I don't think that this group's done a very good job of that at all.
So I'll be honest with you. I think when you're an athlete and everyone on campus knows who you are, going out to bars is always a bad idea. I just think it is. We've seen too many cases when –
And I don't think this is necessarily
No. I'm just saying
right.
Somebody's trying to prove a point. They're going to show their girlfriend, hey, watch me punch this athlete, or watch me – all those scenarios, right? It's always going to be trouble. So we were a big house party. Like that was us. Like we're going to go to somebody's house. We're going to be careful. We're all going to sleep here. It's not going to be a big issue, but you can't do that during the pandemic, right? You can't go have a house party during COVID because of what it leads to. And so these guys right now have no other outlet. They don't have an outlet to kind of, relax and get away from football. And I'm sure it is very difficult. In fact, I know at Alabama, Coach Saban came out today. He's keeping them in rhythm this week. Players will remain on campus. They're not going to go home. They're going to practice on Saturday. That's something we talked about last week, and they asked him about this. He said, look, everyone trusts their family. I trust my family, but no one knows where Uncle Tommy has been. So he doesn't want them going home, something happening, and then their next game get canceled or potentially postponed.
I don't disagree with him. The further you branch out, the more chance you're going to come into contact with it. And you don't have to have symptoms. You don't even have to be asymptomatic. All you got to do is be around somebody else that has had this thing. We talked about it kind of jokingly when I started to run a fever before post game. It's like, stay home, because you come back in here and you see everybody. You're gonna wipe out the whole staff,
right?
Because
we're
in pretty close quarters here.
Yeah, and we're bare bones as far as who we let in this building for the most part.
On game day, it was me. You remember game day, don't you? It's been a while. Me and Collada for pregame. Me and T-Bob for postgame. Moscona comes in. We pass each other in the hall. Gordy comes in and does a segment. Jimmy comes in and does a segment. Sometimes we do them over the phone, but it's like, man, look, one of us gets it and doesn't. You wipe out the whole staff. It's the same thing with the football team. You wipe out the entire offensive line, the entire secondary. Let's move on. The other challenge for LSU is now you're down to, is it fair to say 50-something players that can practice right now?
I mean,
So this was Coach O about practicing with less.
Yeah, we have. You know, we have some walk-ons that have stepped up. Zach Van Rosenberg played second-team quarterback for us yesterday. Guys that stepped up. We have guys defensive linemen that never snapped before snapped yesterday. So we kind of stayed with the same plan, less plays, less time out on the field. But we had to get our work done. And so we had guys move around. Guys did some different positions that they haven't played. They've cross-trained. So I think that's it's just part of what we got to do this year.
They are practicing with something close to what an NFL roster would be, somewhere in the 50s when you count the practice squad guys. So let's say within 4 or 5 guys. Now, you explained to me in layman's terms the difference between a college practice where you have, in a normal year, unlimited amount of people, and an NFL roster where you got 53 on the active and half a dozen guys on the practice squad.
Bare. It's bare when you're at an NFL practice. It's so bare sometimes that – so I was a starting fullback, and Darren Sproles was our third down back, and LT obviously was our starter. And we had Mike Tolbert as well. But because we kept so many running backs and we kept 4 instead of 3 and not really a practice squad, we would have a practice squad guy kind of bounce up back and forth. So everyone outside of LT was given the look. Like we were the scout team as well. So I would go starting reps for the fullback. Sproles would go all third down reps, but turn around, flip it around. Here comes the defense. We all play. We didn't have a practice squad fullback. I was the fullback on the practice squad. I was a running back. We would all just kind of rotate in those scenarios, and it is bare minimum for the most part. And then you got special teams. So NFL practice is completely different than college, and everybody's got to kind of help out. Your backup quarterback is a scout team guy. Your third receiver is the number 1 receiver on the scout team. So
who did you say was the backup quarterback?
He's a scout team quarterback, I'm saying.
The scout team quarterback. Yeah, well, he's the punter.
Oh, yeah. So Mike Cyphers was not our scout team quarterback. Okay. It was Billy Golic.
All right. Well, this week, the punter is the backup quarterback, the 31?
30.
30.
I'll put another year on him. He's already feeling bad about his age already.
Well, the guy at Colorado retired, so he's the oldest player in college football.
If I'm not mistaken, this is your avenue. He came in as a quarterback and then switched to tight end and then switched to punter. Is that correct? Can anybody confirm that?
Came in as a pitcher.
Well, he never came. That's the whole issue. We talked to Coach Maneri about that one. But I think that's how it went. I think that was his path.
I don't remember. I know he played quarterback in high school, so I don't know what his aspirations were. The first day
right-handed? I want to say he put a video out there and he was right-handed. I know he punched left-footed. Can anybody confirm that?
I thought he was left-handed.
Maybe the video was just reversed. Maybe he had it on selfie mode.
Other than that shot put thing at Auburn, I've never seen him throw a football.
That's the only time I've seen him throw it as well. Can someone he's Zachary, right?
Yeah.
Anybody from Zachary, get in the chat. Let us know.
I'm sure everybody else knows. I've just forgotten about that. There's only so much information I can process. I've forgotten whether he was right-handed or left-handed. I'm sure somebody will let us know. We'll take a break. Billy Lucci from TexAgs.com will be with us when we return. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
GMFS Mortgage can help you attain all of your financial goals as we wind down here in 2020. Thank God. You want to take a look at your financial portfolio and maybe been thinking about a new home. This, with the interest rates where they are right now, might be the perfect time for you to expand your purchasing power greater than you ever thought it could be. Maybe you're happy where you are. You don't want to move, but sure would be nice to free up a little cash every month. A refi might be exactly what is in order for you. Either you can reduce the amount of money that you pay every month, or you can reduce the length on your mortgage. Maybe a construction loan if you're adding to your family but want to stay in your current home. They're available from GMFS Mortgage as well. Get in touch with a local counselor. Sit and line out all your goals. Tell them what you want to accomplish. They'll be able to move you from there all the way to the closing. I think you're going to be really pleased at how rapid that process goes. Do what I did and do what thousands of others have done. Have your life change at gmfsmortgage.com.
Saints coverage, Chiefs, Cowboys, Thursday night, Sunday night, and Monday night football. From the opening kickoff to the playoffs and the Super Bowl, the NFL lives on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens. Make that thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
and an eye out for danger.
If I build a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
T-Bob Hebert here with breaking news. Front to Back Boat Services is the shop to upgrade your boat tech this fall. With not one but two NMEA certified techs, who better to install your Panoptic sonar, your HD displays. You want to see the fish under the water before you even cast? They have that. Trolling motor you could control with your iPhone? They have that. So what are you waiting for? Get into Front to Back Boat Services right now. Upgrade your boat tech. Make your boating dreams come true. Front to Back Boat Services.
You may not know about the 4Kids Foundation, but you've probably heard of the Zurich Classic. And the Zurich Classic exists because of 4Kids. But it's what happens after the tournament that really counts. 100% of the proceeds are donated by the 4Kids Foundation to hundreds of local charities, totaling more than $40 million, all to help local children and families in need. 4Kids helps kids through golf, because every child deserves a shot at a brighter future.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers, offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast.
Yo, join us for a Wednesday edition of Hanging with Hester and Hanny, presented by Richards Honda from noon to 3. Billy Lucci of Texags will join us, as well as Mike Golic Jr. of ESPN Radio. Join us as well on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
We're brought to you by Richards Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Joining us now from Texags.com is Billy Lucci. Billy, good afternoon. How are you?
Doing great, Hester. Doing great. How are you doing, man?
We're doing good. Billy,
same boat.
Yeah, let me ask you if the number I'm reading is correct, that A&M's game was shut down because of 2 positive cases on the entire team?
Yep, two positive players and 1 positive staff member. I think not amongst the head coach and 10 assistants outside of that group, but one that did travel with the team to the South Carolina game.
So what I'm wondering is, and we haven't gotten an exact number here at LSU, but if we're going to shut everything down for 2 players or for a small amount of players, it's going to make it increasingly hard to finish this season, and I don't even want to think about basketball. So what's been the reaction at Texas A&M?
There's a lot of frustration, and I mean, look, they're not on a LSU 2019 kind of roll. But this is a team that's playing really good football and playing its best football. They've really throttled 3 straight SEC teams, 2 of them on the road. They beat that Florida team that people won't stop talking about right now, and beat them. It was a really good game. You go back and look, there was nothing fluky about it. The way they ran the football, the way they played in the second half. they're playing terrific football. They're playing like a top 5 football team. And, the next couple of opponents, they scare you in certain ways, but none of those teams are top 5 football teams. So they had something good going. And now you wonder how they're going to be coming out of it, because you mentioned it. If you're going to shut it down over 2 positive cases, it's going to make it difficult. And here's the thing, Hester, right? It's not for one. And I asked Ross Bjork about this today on our show, and he gave the proper AD answer to it, and it's kind of a wait and see. But they have 2 players that have COVID, and they're going to, in theory, be the only 2 that will be able to be back in time for the Ole Miss game a week after that. All the guys that don't have it, they won't be back because they found out Sunday from the Sunday round of testing that the one extra player had it that went on the trip, and the fallout between him and that staffer in terms of who sat by who on the plane, where were pregame meal, the locker room during the game. So now all of a sudden, it's not 1 game, it's 2, because literally the only guys that'll be back, including coaches, by the way. If you think there was a staff member with it, what do you think that's done to the A&M coaching staff? You'll get 2 guys back. So it's not 1 game, it's 2. So I wonder about LSU, because you're already having that game made up because of Florida, so you're already behind the 8 ball. Did this stuff start up at LSU several days before? In other words, are they Alabama and Arkansas, or do they have at least a chance to regroup and be back for Arkansas?
And you're right, Billy. And as we get closer and closer, December 12th, you've already got a game scheduled. What do they do with LSU and Alabama? But real quick, I do want to ask you about Texas A&M, because I think this affects them more than anyone else, because they're trying to put together a resume that's probably not going to include an SEC championship game appearance, and they're trying to put together this resume that gets them to the college football playoff. So they need these wins. Even if it's against a Tennessee that's not a ranked team, they still need every win they can compile to try to make their resume look as good as it can without going to Atlanta.
No question about it. And there's an eyeball test thing at play, too, because it's going to be resumes, but without conference play, it might be, if things went well, could be a 9-1 A&M against an unbeaten Cincinnati or BYU that hasn't played a Power 5 team all year. So there is an eyeball test component as well. And there are high-profile opponents, if nothing else, like Tennessee. Auburn may carry a ranking into their game with A&M. As of right now, they play Alabama the week before. And then LSU, no matter what happens with the team you guys with them down the stretch, it's still LSU. It'll be interesting in some weird way if A&M can get all 4 games in, not being done with the season on December 5th and instead playing December 12th against, say, who knows how the schedule will work out. They might go Auburn and LSU to end it in the last 2 weeks. They might go Tennessee and Auburn to end the season, or so, however it works out. At least you'll be playing on the football field, and if A&M fortunate enough and handle this layoff enough to be playing their best ball at that time, you might be playing some teams that just still carry some cachet that don't have a lot to play for. In some weird way, it could work out, or the flip side is A&M was absolutely rolling, and maybe they can't quite get back that momentum. It just remains to be seen. And it's not just the Aggies, it's everybody right now.
Billy Lucci is our guest from TexAgs.com. Billy, if there are other games that have to be rescheduled, postponed, canceled outright, what is your understanding of the pecking order of how they try to get to the end of the season, be it using December the 12th, December the 19th, or shuffling the deck in some other way?
I don't know if they've fully decided that in terms of LSU is the perfect example. Like, I know a lot of people have assumed, well, we can't get Bama in. Well, yeah, they can. I mean, they could play Bama and Florida both prior to December 19th. And like I said earlier, maybe it's A&M not on Thanksgiving weekend, but on December 19th. It's my understanding that the SEC, when they first made the decision yesterday that they're going to use December 19th, The next step was to figure out just scrap everything. You'd love to keep as many of the dates the same as you can, and it's be hard to do until probably at the start of next week when you find out who will be able to play next weekend. But their thought process is 5 Saturdays starting next weekend to get every game in, if at all possible. So I think you're going to see some major shuffling of everyone's schedule, even teams that aren't affected, just to make it work with teams that are.
Billy, I do want to ask you your opinion on the December the 19th date, one we've been throwing around there. We know the SEC championship game, as we mentioned, that day, but other conferences, because of other situations, have played games the same day as their conference championship, and teams that obviously aren't in that conference championship game. But I have a hard time believing that even though we think we know who's going to be there, the SEC would make that call to move a game to that date until you're mathematically eliminated. Both teams, I'm saying, from getting to Atlanta, because the last thing you want to do is say, okay, yeah, Texas A&M, you're going to play this date, and then all of a sudden the world blows up and Texas A&M is in Atlanta.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? And I think that's why it's so devastating that even in the last couple days to have a couple of these games fall off the schedule as well. I think that was, that makes every time one game goes off, it makes it that much harder. But I agree with you guys. They might have to do almost like some sort of flex situation for the 19th, and it's weird because what if they did and they said, okay, LSU's mathematically eliminated or Ole Miss or somebody, so we can play. What if A&M can play them? Well, what if Bama lost to Auburn and A&M was going to play an extra game or played one more game? What if A&M was a half game up in the standings? Well, then you're if A&M's last game is against LSU, are we just going to cancel that one and assume they would have won it? Obviously, you can't do that, because that could get Alabama in. So it's crazy. I think it will work out because Florida and Bama seem to, A, they look so good, and B, you look at their schedule. I mean, it's probably going to work out where they're each going to win by essentially 2 games, even if it's one game at tiebreaker. But I'm with you guys. I don't think you can decide that until you get, maybe in a perfect world, you're 2 weeks out, but how do you schedule that? It's going to be really strange. I don't know how they do it. I think it might be where you might not know who the hell you're going to play those last 2 weekends until Sunday.
So do you think, Billy, am I hearing you right? Do you think there's a possibility that they could say on Sunday, look, we're starting over. We're starting over with a white piece of paper, and we're going to fill the schedule in as best we can the rest of the way?
Yeah, I do think that's very possible.
I don't want that job. I didn't want that job in August. I certainly don't want that job now.
You know what? I think they could probably, I don't want to say easy, but yeah, I mean, if the three of us sat in a room, I think we could figure it out. And, and then after we could go eat lunch somewhere in Baton Rouge, you guys can take me to your favorite restaurant, let me eat some real food over there. And by the end of it, we'd probably, on our napkins, have it drawn up. But the problem is exactly what you guys brought up. If you just said, here are 5 Saturdays, get all the games in, same opponent, same venue, the venue part's easy. The problem will be exactly what you said. But what can you schedule for that last weekend? What are we going to do? Leave Alabama and Florida out of it and just pretend like we're not doing that?
I can do that part easy enough. The thing that scares me is the next game that gets canceled. Okay, you're down to Pac-12 rules here. You've got just enough weekends and just enough games with just enough teams, and if you lose another one, then it's something that can't be made up. And so which team gets left out? Which team loses a home game, which team loses a division game, that kind of thing. Like I said, I don't want that job. No.
And it sucks because you kind of know it's coming. If they left the schedule exactly as it. I'm sitting here as an A&M fan, and I'm sitting there as an LSU fan. I'm saying, okay, I feel good about A&M LSU because they're gonna shut things down for a couple of days. They're gonna, a bunch of dudes are gonna come out of corner. That first game back, you ought to be fine. So that particular game, if it's played Thanksgiving weekend, okay, so now we got 3 more, and what happens? Well, that's dependent on A&M. That's dependent on Tennessee. That's dependent on Ole Miss. That's dependent on Auburn. Seems like we're close to the finish line. We're really only 60% there. I guess in y'all's case, 50%.
Billy, we appreciate your time. We'll all watch this thing together. Thanks for your time today. Stay safe. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, guys. Always. Thank you.
Billy Lucci with TexAgs.com. We'll take a break. Billy Embody at the top of the hour. Today is the first day of the early signing period in basketball, so we'll talk to Billy Embody at the top of the hour. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
As we get deeper into the month of November, we remind you that Gotros Outdoor Power and their friends over at SCAG can get you into a zero-turn unit with 60 months interest-free financing with free delivery. And as they do with cars, lawnmowers, a lot the same way. They want to move 2020 units so they can get the 2021 units in. So there's deals to be made at both locations of Gotros Outdoor Power.
You're exactly right, Hanny. Go check out the showrooms in Baton Rouge, Airline and Industrialplex, in Gonzales, Airline at 74. Go check out the Turf Tiger, the Tiger Cat, the Patriot, the Freedom Z, the Cheetah, the Liberty Z. They've got something for everyone. As Hanny mentioned, commercial and residential lawnmowers. Of course, GoTrosOutdoorPower.com is the website across the state of Louisiana. If you're listening or watching, remember, free delivery from Gotros. Check it out again, GoTrosOutdoorPower.com. That's Gotros. We make it easy.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Our local nonprofits help build a thriving community for all, and now it's time for us to give back. So join us for 225 Gives on Giving Tuesday, December 1st, to build community and unite action. Learn more at 225gives.org.
From the makers of Blue Moon comes Light Sky, an extraordinary citrus sweet brewed with real tangerine peel, only 95 calories. Welcome to the light side of the moon.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens, if not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR presented by Pluckers. We'll have the latest of what we know about LSU's modified schedule now that the LSU-Bama game has been postponed, and Russ Mitchell joins us. 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
Is there anybody with a paper schedule? You know, you got a schedule up by your desk, or what if you try to keep the same one up? You know, you got an LSU schedule back in February. You put it up on the side of your desk. You just start crossing them out. Then you write in the teams that you're going to play, write in the dates. And you cross them out again. You may get to cross them out one more time before this is all said and done. This was Coach O just a little while ago on the teleconference about how confident he was that the next team LSU plays is going to be Arkansas.
Yeah, and listen, we want to play Alabama, so whatever happens, we're going to be ready to play. And I understand Greg Sankey's position. This is a fluid deal. But I tell you what, those guys have done a tremendous job of getting us to play. I'm happy we're playing. We knew this stuff would happen this season, so we just got to be ready to go. Whoever they tell us to play, we'll be ready to play.
I think they've kind of been put on notice that, I mean, does that sound, am I hearing the same thing that you're hearing? Hey, we're going to put the schedule together. We're going to try to keep this as much as we can, but be prepared to move.
We talked about, I think it was yesterday, maybe it was Monday, about mentally in that building right now. Where are you? Because you prepared in a bye week on yourself at the beginning of the week. Then you prepared for Alabama, and then you came in this week and you prepared for Alabama. And now you're in a situation where you're still practicing, but you're preparing for who? Or whom? I don't really know which one's right there. That's Moscona's area of expertise, but you get what I'm saying.
Let's see. They were preparing. Let's see if I've got this one. No. Okay. This was. This is the one I'm looking for. I think they asked him do you know when and where you're going to play Alabama?
Your guess is as good as mine. I've heard.
Okay. That's all you really need right there. I think LSU finishing their schedule as it's construed right now is the toughest one out of anybody in the league, because they've had 2 games canceled, and they've had 2 games, I say canceled, postponed, and the 2 games are with the 2 teams that are most likely to square off in the Southeastern Conference Championship game, which is supposed to be played on December the 19th. So if you're going to make up both of these games, if LSU is going to play Florida and they're going to play Alabama, and they can't play either one of them on the 19th, and neither one of them want to play on the 12th unless both of them are playing on the 12th.
Can we just have a doubleheader? LSU just go Florida in the morning, Bam at night?
Yeah. Who's going to do the between game show? That's probably going to.
That's your word.
Yeah, it's probably going to fall.
That's your word.
But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If Florida's playing on the 12th, then Alabama needs to be playing on the 12th.
Right.
They don't want Alabama to have a bye and Florida not have a bye. So you say, well, okay, both of those teams have lost a game. Let them both play on the 12th. They both lost a game against LSU. LSU can't play both of them. Your ideas, your idea is noted, okay, yeah. but overruled. So if you're going to have those 2 teams play each other in the SEC championship game on December the 19th, then either LSU is going to have to move one of their other games and play that team, Arkansas or Ole Miss, on the 19th. And again, that works easy enough. I think Scone went through these scenarios yesterday as well. It's easy enough to fix LSU if you move one other team. It's if you have to move multiple other teams. How many other games can you reschedule without blowing the whole thing up and starting from scratch?
And we haven't even talked about the revenue aspect of this. The teams that have missed out on these home games.
We haven't, but I bet you the athletic director has.
For sure, because LSU missed out on Missouri. They're going to miss out on Alabama potentially. That's 2 home games in a pandemic where you're already losing $80 million and you only have 3 home games. That's being discussed as well. I don't think anybody would come out and publicly say this. I just don't. They're going to say, not say, I should say, we're playing this game basically because they need the revenue. They've only gotten 3 home games. Like, that could be closed doors, behind the scenes, not going to find out the information. That could be something that happens.
How'd you like to be Greg Sankey today? Commissioner, LSU on line 1. Scott Woodward wants to know what you're going to do because they've lost 2 home games worth of revenue. Commissioner, Alabama's on line 2. They don't want to have their opponent, or they don't want to. They want to make sure that they don't have a bye, or their opponent doesn't have a bye before they have to play them in the SEC championship game. Commissioner, CBS on line 3. They've lost a game after the Masters. They want their money back. Yep. Commissioner, Missouri on line 4. They've got multiple games that they've lost. They want to know when they're going to be rescheduled. And can you, phone messages? Yeah, you got a few. Here's a legal pad full of them, and you're trying to make everybody happy. Billy's right. We could sit down here and put it down on paper, but you remember when they put the schedule on paper, how many people were up in arms? Well, you got to do all that again.
Yep.
I know. Let's talk about basketball when we come back. Yep. Signing day. A couple of signees for LSU already in. One more expected. We'll talk to Billy Embody from Go247. Hanging with Hester and Hanny. Brought to you by Richards Honda, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
T-Bob Hebert here with breaking news. Front to Back Boat Services is the shop to upgrade your boat tech this fall. With not 1 but 2 NMEA certified techs, who better to install your Panoptic sonar, your HD displays. You want to see the fish under the water before you even cast? They have that. Trolling motor you could control with your iPhone? They have that. So what are you waiting for? Get into Front to Back Boat Services right now. Upgrade your boat tech. Make your boating dreams come true. Front to Back Boat Services.
You may not know about the 4Kids Foundation, but you've probably heard of the Zurich Classic. And the Zurich Classic exists because of 4 kids. But it's what happens after the tournament that really counts. 100% of the proceeds are donated by the 4Kids Foundation to hundreds of local charities, totaling more than $40 million, all to help local children and families in need. 4Kids helps kids through golf, because every child deserves a shot at a brighter future.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens, make not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Callahan Injury Lawyers. Hangin with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
Hour number 2, Hanging with Hester and Hanny. Well, we're in the middle of football season, such as it is. The signing period for basketball and the other spring sports starts today, second Wednesday in November. Billy Embody from Go247 is with us. Billy, good afternoon.
How are you guys?
We're here. we are, as we would say, working the problem. But for basketball, the news has been good today. They have, I think, officially gotten signed papers from both Brandon Murray and Jarrell Colbert, and they're waiting on Alex Fudge, but they're not expecting any problems with that today. So give us an overall read on this LSU class as far as filling needs, numbers, and these three players that we've talked about a little bit before, but to refresh people's memory.
Yeah, I think with the two guys that are in right now, you have Jarrell Colbert, who kicked off the class, and he's a 6'10" big man, and he's actually playing for former Memphis assistant and NBA player Mike Miller right now. He's transferred to Houston High in Germantown, Tennessee. He's playing with a couple highly touted prospects, including Mike Miller's son, Mason Miller, who LSU's kind of been kicking the tires on a little bit as a recruit, but don't know if they're going to end up as heavily in the mix as they were earlier. But with Colbert, you get a rim protector and somebody that I think with Greg Golden as a strength and conditioning coach, somebody he can really work with and build up into a really, really strong center for Will Wade as he continues to want to have a true big man in the middle for his defensive scheme that he's deploying this year. And now that he's on board, you look really to the wings. And Brandon Murray is the one that signed already today. You mentioned him, and he's kind of been a little bit of a riser. He's originally from Baltimore, and Kevin Nickelberry, the assistant that was promoted this offseason, did a really nice job identifying him and getting them in early. Auburn offered after LSU, and that was kind of it as far as high majors that went in on him outside of Ole Miss. And he's 6'5", 200 pounds, so he gives you some size on the wing there for them. He probably played with two. He's played a little bit of point guard. And the thing that stands out about him is just how hard he's worked to get to this point. And Will Wade actually commented on that in his press release when they announced him. And he's now at IMG down in Bradenton, so he's going to be really, really well prepared to make the transition to LSU. Darius Days did that as well, and he was fairly polished, I'd say, when he came into LSU. Then you look at Alex Fudge, and he's somebody that's going to sign on Monday. He's just kind of, I don't know why he's signing on Monday, but sometimes these guys just want to do that, and so he's doing that. He's kind of a little bit like Trendon Watford, but a little skinnier. He's maybe a little bit like Mwani Wilkinson in the 2020 class, where he's going to have to add a lot of weight, but he's a top 50 prospect. He's the highest rated player in the class right now. They beat out a bunch of high major programs. Texas A&M is a notable one, Clemson, Oklahoma State, that they beat out for him. So he's also got some Louisiana ties, so you're bringing back some of that with Alex Fudge. And then as far as needs, I think the next step would probably be getting a point guard in the late signing period. I'm not so sure. I don't think there are going to be any surprises in the early signing period with LSU pulling somebody else into the class, but I guess you never know. So I would say getting a point guard, because I don't think Javonte Smart's going to be back after this year. You've got Jalen Cook and Eric Gaines, but you want to have a third ball handler to come off the bench, I would think, or somebody who's a high-end instant impact guy, and that's where Will Wade, I think, is going to have to find somebody in the spring. They'll look again to add somebody else in the front court. They've got Bradley Ezewiro from last cycle who's signed, and he's technically still signed. I checked in with him, and he said he's really going to be still locked in. But I guess they'll be monitoring him and see what happens with him. But he's another big man. He was teammates with Cam Thomas last year, but he opted to reclassify back to his more natural class of 2021. So we'll be monitoring him in the class as well.
Billy, are people outside of LSU surprised by the recruiting classes that they still put together regardless of what's going on the outside?
Not really. I think you look at Auburn, you look at a lot of these programs that have some of the question marks around the program. You look at Arizona and what they're doing. Tennessee continues to recruit at a high level, and I don't think they have necessarily many questions. But you just look at the SEC especially, and they're just it's recruiting. It's as competitive as a recruiting battleground as really the football field is. It really is. These coaches, you've got John Calipari, you've got Rick Barnes, you've got Bruce Pearl. All of these coaches, Kermit Davis is starting to recruit really well. So you've got some guys that can really bring in high-end talent, and it's really, really competitive. And that's the thing that has held true throughout any of the questions for any of these programs across the country is they continue to recruit at a high level. I think many kids that they recruit that are the elite prospects that you say, okay, well, why would they go to a program with question marks? Well, they're probably only planning on maybe being there a year, or they're looking for that 1 to 2 year window of development, and that's what they're going to get from a lot of these coaches, whether it's Bruce Pearl, Will Wade. I was talking with somebody in the industry just a couple days ago, and he was saying, look, Will Wade's going to get the most out of these guys and develop them and push them hard and get them ready for the league. And you've seen Naz Reid come in and drop Wade and go on and be a pro. You've seen Tremont Waters, go as an undersized point guard, and he's finding his way a little bit right now. Emmett Williams is going to have a chance to be a pro. Javonte Smart, Darius Days, Trenton Watford, all these guys are going to have chances to be pros, and that's what it's about. And whether it takes 1-2 years, that's really I don't think it's as much of a concern for these high-end prospects, even if some serious sanctions were to come down and they couldn't go to a postseason. I just don't think it's as big of a concern. They're all really great recruiters in between Will Wade and just the rest of these coaches that are kind of under fire a little bit. And that's how they keep getting good players.
Billy Embody from Go247.com is our guest. Billy, there are 13 scholarship basketball players practicing at LSU right now, and 15 total. You have no idea how long I've waited to say that they have every scholarship filled, every seat filled, everybody's healthy, everybody's eligible, and nobody's transferring. It's phenomenal. So walk me through the numbers for next year. You've got 3 guys coming in the early period. There's only 1 senior on the team, but we know there'll be other people that leave. What's realistic for the late signing period from a numbers standpoint to add with what they expect to lose?
I think anywhere, and I think you watch Bradley Ezewiro because anytime I think somebody backs off of a chance to come in right away to a college program and move back a year, I think that raises an eyebrow. So let's watch and see what happens with him. I mean, he told me he's locked in. We'll see kind of how he develops over the course of the year. He's still actually trying to find a place to play high school or post-grad or whatever this year. So he's working through that. So could be a spot open in that regard. And then I would probably say 2 more spots. I mean, I think Cam Thomas is, he's a one-and-done type that is, he's going to be really special to watch. I mean, enjoy him. And he's as advertised. And then you've got Trenton Watford, who came back for all intents and purposes to get 1 more year and then go pro. So that would be 3 scholarships. So kind of right there, you're breaking even in a way with what is returning and what's coming in right now, depending on what happens with Ezewiro. And then, you eye Javonte Smart, Darius Days, guys like that. And then maybe there's some form of attrition at some point somehow. So I think Will is always aggressive in terms of adding and fixing his roster. And, I think we saw that for the most part this offseason as well with all the new guys they brought in. And so I wouldn't put it past him adding 2 more prospects in the late signing period. And I would think one would be a point guard or at least another two guard or combo guard, just with Cam Thomas probably being a one and done and Javonte Smart. You got to be eyeing him to potentially move on to the pros as well at this point. So he's aggressive, and I think that's the thing is the numbers always work themselves out. I mean, we're sitting here right now, and Alex Fudge has told us that he's expected to enroll at the mid-year. And so how does that work out with 13 scholarship guys on campus right now? Maybe he's a walk-on. We'll have to get some clarity on that from him. But, it's the number. It's a numbers crunch for Will Wade, but he's managed to always manage it pretty well.
He's not afraid to go get a transfer as well. I mean, you had 3 transfers to this year's class alone. So this is something where Will seems like, which it hadn't always been the case, Hanny, here, you're going to fill out your roster with as many scholarship players as you're given.
Yeah, and I think the thing with Will in constructing this roster, and a lot of people probably don't even realize it when you look at them being outside the top 25, and that was another conversation I had, is I think they're kind of getting a little penalized for some of the storylines off the court, I guess. But this is his best team on paper. In terms of all the pieces they have, you look at how they fit together, at least theoretically. You have 2 true rim protectors. You have veterans like Trendon Watford, Darius Days, Javonte Smart. Charles Manning is really competitive. He's going to push people. Josh LeBlanc, I think, is really, really competitive. He was a real thorn in everyone's side when he was on campus for the spring as a practice squad guy once he transferred. Jalen Cook works his tail off. Eric Gaines works his tail off. I mean, it's a pretty blue collar team, and I think compared to the one that won the SEC title, there might not be as many like egos, and that's not a shot at those guys. They were just I think sometimes ego and competitiveness can go side by side, and then all of a sudden it might not work as well as people thought. But this team, piece wise, it all fits together a little bit better, at least on paper, and it's going to be a fun group to watch. It really is.
2 weeks from tonight, LSU tips it off against somebody in Lincoln, Nebraska. They haven't put that schedule out yet, but it will. The date has been put together.
I hear somebody stacked this year.
Not the opponent, right? And we've heard some good things from out at practice, so we're obviously looking forward to that. Billy, any tidbits that you want to share from that? Anything that you have heard kind of leaked out of the practice sessions that they've had so far?
Yeah, I think Trendon Watford has really taken the next step. He's taken everything from his meetings with the NBA teams and that process, and has really taken it to heart and been able to take his game to the next level. This is a big year for him, and people, I think, sometimes forget it. Trendon's brother was a pro. He has that experience, and I think after his freshman year and kind of everything that went on, what the up and downs and just the things that he needed to work on, he really took it to heart. And so Trendon Watford, a lot of people are pegging him to have a big year. Shareef O'Neal actually is I know with his last name that people are kind of eye rolling that it's a surprise, but with everything he's gone through, I've heard some positive things on him. I mentioned Josh LeBlanc earlier, and then Cam Thomas has been a stud as well. So I mean, it's coming together. We'll have to see what the rotation looks like. There are a lot of pieces, but they do fit together fairly well. So that's a big positive for them.
All right, Billy, before we let you go, I've told you this before. One of my favorite things having you on is you can go from basketball to football in the blink of an eye. So I do want to ask you real quick, LSU, top 2 safeties in the country for this class. That is something that I don't know if it's ever happened here before, and it doesn't happen very often that you get the top 2 guys at the same position.
Yeah, and it probably has happened at corner. You might be the better one to answer that. I'd have to look back on that, but Derek Davis and Sage Ryan, and they kind of complement each other well. Sage can play all over. He can play nickel. He can play corner. He can play safety. And then Derek Davis is a big, strong safety. I mean, he is somebody that could end up being a little bit like Jacoby Stevens in my mind. And we'll see how his body takes him and things like that. But he's got a lot of size. And kudos to Bill Bush and the entire staff on Derek Davis to go into Pennsylvania and get a kid that Penn State really thought they had a good shot to get. And Ohio State was in there as well, and they thought they were going to, be right there at the end. They got him on campus, or, Derek Davison's family took a visit on their own the weekend that LSU was playing Auburn, I believe. And lo and behold, they end up with his commitment. And for Sage, I mean, I got to give kudos to Corey Raymond and Kevin Falk and that whole crew that got him on board, because like we talked about, that week when we talked. It was not looking good early in the week. He was headed to Alabama, but they buckled in and got him on board, and that was obvious. That's a difference maker. I mean, he's day one instant impact type of guy.
Billy Embody, go247.com. Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you soon.
Anytime, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks, Billy.
We will take a break. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
Tiger Air, the official independent dealer of the American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning System. As we get into the winter months, time to get your units checked before you have to actually use them, and we're getting closer and closer to that. The American Standard is a top unit on the market with the top efficiency. I know. I've got one in my home, and every single month I know that I'm saving money because I used to not have an American Standard, and believe me, I can tell the difference in my energy bills each and every month. From the efficiency of the unit to the programmable thermostat, you're always going to have maximum input with your American Standard.
You're always going to be protected as well with the Comfort Assurance Protection Plan, saving money as well, discounts on parts and labor. You're going to get lower utility bills, increased equipment life. That seasonal maintenance we always tell you about, that's going to save you money because your equipment's going to be at its peak performance. Emergency and priority service at a discounted rate. And, of course, you're going to have increased comfort, which is something that we all want, right? So that Comfort Assurance Protection Plan, check it out, tiger-air.com, or give them a call and ask them about it, 225-754-8687.
Off the Bench, Hanging with Hester and Hanny. After further review and more are all live daily on the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge YouTube channel. Subscribe now to interact with us inside the live chat driven by Bayou Ford.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Hello?
What's up, B? What you doing?
Chilling at the office working. You?
Hanging at the job site. Chilling.
Roof's up?
Hey, Greg, roof up? Roof's up. Roof's up.
Roof's up.
Roof's up?
Roof's up.
Roof's up! Roof's up! Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
This isn't just another day, it's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers, offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Coming up on Jimmy Ott's Game Time, we recap all the Maction from last night and look ahead to the Masters this weekend. We're live from the City Slice Pints and Pizza from 6 to 8 p.m., so come see us or listen to 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
And we're brought to you by Richards Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Greg Sankey, the SEC commissioner, has been holding court with members of the media. Obviously, there's a lot of questions out there. One of the things that he was asked today is if he would like the college football playoff to move back to add more time to make up games. We don't have the audio, but I'm going to read you the quote. It says, "We have finish lines right now, so my focus is on an SEC championship game on December the 19th. If you expanded the playoff, it would expand the problems that we have in completing it." So one of the things that gets asked an awful lot is why not just move back the college football playoff? You could move this thing back into January. And the answer is that there's a lot of logistical problems to it. It's not impossible. They've moved the Super Bowl back before. They've moved national championship games back before. They've moved conference championship games back before, but it's not anything that they really would want to do. The other thing that he says, and this is really kind of the topic of the day, I think, is that the contact tracing has been the biggest challenge to playing games. It has the potential to magnify even one positive test. And this is something they got to look at going forward, especially as now you're talking about the potential of a vaccine being available in the very near future. And I know that's not going to be for college athletes right off the bat. I understand that. But what we're going forward with right now, for instance, Texas A&M has 2 players, and it's canceled an entire game.
Yeah.
Missouri had 1. And so are you at this point being a little overcautious where this is concerned, where, yes, you've had some outbreaks where you've had a lot of players. That was back in the summer, some of them even earlier in the season. But if we're getting to the point where we're going to cancel entire games for just 1 or 2 players that could quarantine, and you're doing, my goodness, they're testing them, it seems like morning, noon, and night. We could talk with Dr. Etheridge about this a little bit later on. Are you going to be able to proceed forward if you continue to adhere to contact tracing that is this stringent?
I don't think so. I don't think so. And I know protocols are put in place for a reason, and the safety of the players and coaches and staff, all that is the most important thing for sure, without a doubt. But when you're talking about it, and you heard it in Billy's voice, Billy Lucci, when he said, he's like, yeah, it's 2 players. 1 was on the trip, and I guess 1 wasn't, right? And with the way they're testing them, I'm surprised that contact tracing has been such the main reasoning, right? Because you're getting tested so often, you would think that the testing results would kind of trump anything, but they haven't so far. And I think that's, to me, a little bit more surprising.
He was also asked what would be the point in which they'd prioritize games that would impact a division title race. It's something that's come up a lot. And he said that there's a lot of possibilities still at play. That certainly could be, but is it right now? There's still a lot of possibilities in play, which gets us back to something else that we talked about early in the hour, which is at some point they could just say, hey, listen, we're going to start fresh. We're going to do whatever we can in the last 5 weeks, 4 weeks, 3 weeks of the season, but your season may not play out exactly as is on paper right now, even the games that are scheduled. When Ed Orgeron was asked earlier in the day, what was it, Josh, give me this back. This was Ed Orgeron when he asked, hey, you know when you're going to play Alabama?
Your guess is as good as mine.
So there you go. They're doing this on the fly. They're doing this the best that they can. And not for nothing, I know I brought this up before, but the contact tracing that is in place right now, most of the people inside of college basketball will tell you that if it remains in place from now through March, they will not be able to finish a season.
Well, we've heard for a long time college basketball was going to be one of the most difficult sports. It was basketball and wrestling. Those were the two most difficult. So let's call it like it is. All of us, I think, assume that we'd be in a different spot back in, let's say, late spring, early summer. We thought by this point we'd be in a different spot. Well, turns out, as this week in the SEC is showing, we're not. So basketball becomes even more of a challenge. Now, all the things that you were fearsome of, I think those are starting to come. And you mentioned it. How long till LSU tips off?
2 weeks from today.
2 weeks from today. So college basketball, you said it was going to be the most difficult, and I agree. I think it is going to be the most difficult. And could we see some protocols perhaps change because of what's happened over the last couple of weeks?
What he did say was that they are not talking about football in a bubble, but they're certainly talking about basketball in a bubble. I could foresee something where, when we talked with Aaron Torres last week, we talked about the Pac-12 has travel partners.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Arizona schools go and play the Oregon schools, and then they swap. And I could see a scenario where you would have potentially little mini bubbles with, say, 4 teams, and those 4 teams. Say LSU's travel partner was Texas A&M, and they were to go play Ole Miss and Mississippi State, and you would put the 4 of them in a little mini bubble, and that they would play each other over a 5-day scenario.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that that's going to happen, but I don't think that that's off the table at this point. Mini bubbles for basketball, because if you're going to put these people into a contact tracing deal with basketball, where one person is basically, we were worried about one person wiping out a basketball team. Now one person's wiping out a football team. Yeah. So I guess it's really
the numbers. It's
really no different, other than the fact that it's in the winter and it's inside.
Yeah.
So,
and if one person can knock out an 85-man football team, one person can certainly knock out a 15-man basketball, or obviously women's basketball is affected by this as well.
Sure. Every winter sport is going to be affected by this.
But the indoors, I guess, is kind of the indoor sports in the winter, those are the biggest hurdles I think that the NCAA's had to face.
Talk a little golf when we come back. The Masters is tomorrow. A tradition like none other in November. That's starting tomorrow. We'll talk with Scott Rabelais when we come back. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
Louisiana One calls. Says call 811 before you do any digging. If you're going to be making improvements on your property, if you're going to be putting in another building on your property, a swimming pool, a fence, any kind of landscaping, please call 811 first. Don't hit those lines. It could cause problems for you or your neighbors, be it communications lines, water lines, power lines, gas lines. Any of them will cause you or your neighbors problem. It's very, very easy to avoid. Just call 811.
No excuses here. Dial 811. Click on Louisiana811.com. So those are incredibly easy to do, right? It's free to you. They come out and they mark the lines. They tell you exactly where you can and cannot put a shovel. So take the hassle out of it. They do all the work. It is the law as well. So this is something that you have to do. Know what's below. Call or click before you dig.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Call Mr. Electric today for electrical repairs, upgrades, and installations.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens, make not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
All right, man, what do you want to watch? Football or football?
Let's go with football.
Football it is.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Coming up on Thursdays Off the Bench, we'll update wherever the crazy SEC schedule currently stands. Plus, LSU Executive Chef Michael Johnson answers all your Munchies questions. Hall of Famer Morton Anderson stops by. Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN.
Hangin with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
Brought to you by Richard's Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. We'll try to keep Hunt focused tomorrow because there'll be golf on during the show.
Good luck with that.
Not just your regular, Schwegman's Open. It's going to be the Masters in November for the first and, we hope only time, although there's going to be some unique things, obviously, with this year's tournament. Scott Rabelais is usually there. This year he is here, but I'm sure he'll be watching very closely. Rab, how you doing?
There's a golf tournament this weekend?
Yes, as it were, in Georgia. You may have heard of it. So tell me, look, no patrons. I'm sorry. I mean,
it's the second time you've done that,
second
Hanny.
time, yeah, but the first time was off the air, so nobody heard it but you.
Sorry.
No patrons. The possibility of some bad weather, a softer golf course, and a guy in Bryson DeChambeau who may obliterate every driving record that we've ever seen. So what are you most looking forward to in what they're calling a Masters unlike any other?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, first of all, it's just, the whole place is just it's a beautiful place. It's a cathedral of sports, and there's still they planted some flowers and stuff like I saw a picture of Amen Corner behind the 12th green. There's all kind of flowering bushes and stuff, and you have the fall color. I just want to see what it looks like, and I hope CBS treats us to some different camera angles that we haven't seen. It's the weather's not going to be great, unfortunately. Next week looks a lot better. It's like in the 60s and sunny there next week. So that's unfortunate. So the course is going to play longer. They said it was going to play longer anyway because it typically does in November, and you get some like more northerly winds that make the course play a little tougher in that regard. But it's definitely going to be a little bit softer. But I think the scoring will probably be pretty good, and obviously everyone's concerned to see, eager to see, what happens with Bryson DeChambeau after the way he bludgeoned Winged Foot in a way that no one expected to win by 6. The only guy who wound up under par. I think he's going to win some, and he's going to lose some in that regard. The one important point about him, though, can't use those green books, where they have the greens all topographically laid out and stuff. They don't allow those against the National, and that might be a little bit of kryptonite for him.
He's going to be shorter into the greens than anybody else on the course. I think we can say that. But there is a certain amount of creativity that Augusta National requires for you around those greens. Why is it so much different than, say, a course like Winged Foot?
It's got just a lot of, well, first of all, people see it on TV every year, but it's definitely much hillier and it's got a lot more undulation and slope than anything else. The whole course from the clubhouse, like right by the first tee, down to Amen Corner, that's like 140 feet and change in elevation. And the whole course is basically on the side of a giant hillside that slopes towards Rays Creek. And you always have to know where the creek is, and it influences the putts, it influences, where the drive winds up in the fairway. And it's a very subtle course. It's designed by Bobby Jones, the great amateur golfer who created the course in the tournament, and Alistair McKenzie, it'll reward good shots. But if you're off, and you can hit a green at Augusta, and I'm on the green, but then you can be in really bad shape with a putt that breaks like 20 feet or something like that, or maybe runs off the slope. So it's all about the angles, being in the right place, missing in the right place, and that takes some experience and skill that only comes from experience. There's only been 2 first-time winners, Charlie. You probably know this in the Masters history. One was the guy who won the first tournament, Horton Smith, and the other was Fuzzy Zeller in 1979. And there's a reason for that. And Bryson's got a little experience, but I think he's played in 3 tournaments, hasn't played very well there so far. So we'll see how yes, he's going to have shorter shots into the greens, but how he putts once he gets onto the greens will be the telling difference. That first time works against Colin Morikawa, who was so impressive in winning the PGA Championship. But let's talk about some of the other favorites. Dustin Johnson has had an awful lot of success at this. He hasn't won, but he's had an awful lot of success there. Justin Thomas, noted Alabama fan, has certainly made his rounds this week and is going to be one of the favorites. But some of the other players that maybe are flying under the radar, strange as it may seem, like Brooks Koepka or Patrick Reed. I mean, there's just no shortage of storylines here. No, I mean I've seen. Brandel Chambly on the Golf Channel said he thinks that the adverse weather conditions will bring more players into the field, believe it or not. Not just, I mean, it's going to be, they might be hitting longer shots than the greens, but it's typically been the case. Mike Weir, a short hitter, won in 2003 when it was very wet. Zach Johnson, the short hitter, won in 2007 when it was very windy and tied the highest winning score ever. 1 over par. It was windy and cold. So, I think that it brings a lot more guys into it, and maybe a first-timer, but I think but as far as you're saying, Rory, as much as a guy who has a chance to win the career Grand Slam can fly under the radar, he kind of is a little bit. So maybe that's a good thing for Rory, who I think has felt the pressure to try to complete the career Grand Slam that he needs with a Masters win. I think Webb Simpson is another guy who can fly under the radar. Bubba Watson has shown some flashes. And we talk about someone who maybe it's kind of, he hits it long, kind of like Bryson, but is the antithesis of him in that he's very much a field player, never had a lesson, famously. And he is like an artist, and that's his Augusta National is his canvas. Wouldn't be surprised if he got in contention. And then they play like Louis Oosthuizen or Jordan Spieth, who hasn't won since he won the British Open in 2017, but Augusta seems to ring the best in him. And of course, the guy that never flies under the radar, Tiger Woods, hasn't played well at all this year. He's had 1 top 10 finish all year, and that was back in January. But the course seems kind of like a fountain of youth for him, I think, as we saw last year. And it wouldn't shock me if he finds a way to get in contention, because he played it so brilliantly last year in that final round. Only shot a 70, but let everyone else make mistakes around him and slip right past him to win the green jacket. Yeah, Tiger's going to be a factor at that tournament well into his 50s. He's going to be he'll be like Freddie Couples. Freddie Couples will go out there at 55 and still be able to shoot 2 under par and put himself. I'm not saying he's going to win another one, but he'll always be able to play that course in a way that is going to keep him in contention the way he wouldn't be at any other major. Yesterday, John Rahm hit a shot off the water and into the hole. I know they play this game every year where the pros try and skip it off. Is it 16? Yeah. And Hester and I were talking before the show. If you gave us a golf club, put us in that spot, and gave us unlimited golf balls and told us that we can't leave until we make that shot, we would both die at Augusta National because we could spend the rest of our lives shooting it. So
Can you explain what they try to do there? How difficult what he did was to actually put the ball off the lake 3 times and into the off the water 3 times and into the hole?
Yeah, it's that pond that runs from the tee all the way to the green, and it's a huge pond. And typically they were wondering if they're going to do it because there are no patrons there, but because they typically egged them on. Skip one. And so, he skipped it off of there, took the slope on the right side of the green, and the pin was kind of like where it is on Sunday, like it was where Tiger chipped in 2005. And that's the knowledge of it. It's playing. You don't play right at the pin. You hit it out to the right and let the slope take it towards the hole. And that's why we've seen a lot of hole-in-ones there on Sunday, particularly on Sunday in recent years. But that's the knowledge that you have to have coming to play there. That's why I think John Rahm is going to be someone who could definitely finally win. Spaniards have done very well. They all have very creative games. Seve Ballesteros, Jose Maria Olazabal, Sergio Garcia, who's not there this year because he's got COVID. I think that was an example of that. And something about that hole, I'll say it real quick. One time I was watching David Toms play there, and he had a putt. He was on the right side of the green, the pin was on the left by the lake. And he putted up there near where Tiger, he was like pin high. He put up near where Tiger chipped in from, and it rolled down the hole. He must have played 40 feet of break. He started with his back to the hole, and the ball went up and came down to about 3 feet away. Is the darndest 2-putt you've ever seen. Like, how do you even have the imagination to play 40 feet of break, in a putt, But that comes from knowing the course a little bit, and it's only you get that through trial and error.
Rab, yesterday in the grocery store for the first time, I heard a Christmas song. So we're tis almost this season. You've got a new book out, great gift idea for LSU fans that have every piece of LSU memorabilia. This is something new. You've done a book called LSU by the Numbers.
Yeah, thank you, Charlie. LSU by the Numbers is something we're doing with the Advocate. It's a book of LSU football history. It's like the greatest player at each number, the number 1, the number 9, the number 57, the number 18. Sorry, Jacob. You're in the book. You're listed in the other greats, and I listed all the 18s, but you're not that 18. But up there in my heart. And so it's something we did in 2006 in the paper in our preseason football section. And then I said, well, this is a good time to update it, and we decided to flesh it out into a book. So what I was pleased about is I got a picture of every guy, because we have players going back to the 30s, Gaynell Tinsley in the 40s, and all through the 50s to the present day. And we were able to get pictures of everyone, which I didn't think would be possible. Doc Fenton's mentioned in there, though he didn't have a number. So it's you can order it now, and it's $10 off through the month of November at lsu.pictorialbook.com, or we usually have an ad in the paper or on the Advocate website. You can order it that way.
Brad, appreciate it. Enjoy the golf. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks a lot. You'd have been my 18. You're my favorite.
No, it's fine. I think I'm pretty sure I talked to Rabs about it, and we talked about who it should be. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it's the OG, Matt Monk.
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken. I mean, it's got to be Matt Monk. He was a quarterback. Quarterbacks always get the benefit of the doubt, as long as it's not Dixon, guys from Mississippi.
First national championship in 45 years, and he was a quarterback.
Rabs knows I don't care about stuff like
it's
that.
Pretty strong. We'll take a break. Mike Golic Jr. at the top of the hour, hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny. We opened up the playbook and expanded our coverage. Listen daily in high definition on 98.1 HD2. We are 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
T-Bob Hebert here with breaking news. Front to Back Boat Services is the shop to upgrade your boat tech this fall. With not one but 2 NMEA certified techs, who better to install your Panoptic sonar, your HD displays. You want to see the fish under the water before you even cast? They have that. Trolling motor you could control with your iPhone? They have that. So what are you waiting for? Get into Front to Back Boat Services right now. Upgrade your boat tech. Make your boating dreams come true. front-to-back boat services.
During these challenging times, we know your healthcare needs don't stop. Cancer, accidents, injuries, and heart disease are relentless. So we are relentlessly innovating to keep you safe, both virtually and in person, connecting you with providers remotely, advancing clinical spaces, providing rapid and accurate testing, social distancing, and certified cleaning protocols. We are Auctioner, and we will not slow down. Auctioner Health, innovating healthcare.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
You may not know about the 4 Kids Foundation, but you've probably heard of the Zurich Classic. And the Zurich Classic exists because of 4 kids. But it's what happens after the tournament that really counts. 100% of the proceeds are donated by the 4 Kids Foundation to hundreds of local charities, totaling more than $40 million, all to help local children and families in need. 4 Kids helps kids through golf, because every child deserves a shot at a brighter future.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens. Make that thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who do.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR presented by Pluckers. We'll have the latest of what we know about LSU's modified schedule now that the LSU-Bama game has been postponed, and Russ Mitchell joins us. 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
Yeah, hurry up and get to the weekend while there's still a football weekend left, huh? So we lost another SEC game earlier in the day, so that's now 4 for the weekend, and now Ohio State is done for the weekend.
Maryland has a COVID issue, and that game has been canceled. Not postponed, because they don't have any makeup dates. It has been canceled.
That was going to be interesting.
It was.
Maryland has shown way more life with toy. I just learned how to say Tagovailoa, and I can't. Toya, Lil Tua is
Little Tua,
and I hate to call him that because you want to give him his own. Toya, I think is how you say it. Anyway, had a real big game on the Friday night game against Minnesota, and has really fit well in Mike Loxley's offense. They had a relationship back to their time at Alabama. That would have been not that I think Maryland would have won, but I would have been interested to see what they could have done offensively. Somebody on Twitter had a real interesting idea about what to do if Alabama can't play LSU because LSU's got problems, and Ohio State can't play Maryland because Maryland's got problems. Why don't Ohio State and Alabama play this weekend?
Hey, we've seen ADs pick up the phone. Hey, What y'all got this
CBS
weekend?
be interested.
Heck yeah. What y'all got this weekend? All right, we'll be there. I mean, hey, Central Arkansas.
Get
him to be the buffer. He'll make the call.
If he was the athletic director, I bet it would get done. So hurry up and get to the weekend while there's still something left. Florida State's having a rough day. They lost Marvin Wilson, who is their top player, defensive tackle. He's out for the season. Quarterback James Blackman announced he's going to transfer. They lost starting offensive lineman Devontae Love-Taylor for the rest of the season with an injury, and receiver Tomiron Terry is no longer with the program. So Mike Norvell, when he writes his book, this first season at Florida State probably will be the part where he talks about overcoming adversity and things like that.
Mm-hmm. It's not going to be a short one. It's going to have many, many layers to it.
There's been an absolute disaster for that program. Never thought we would see them in that type of shape. Mel Kiper's put out his newest big board, and the biggest difference for LSU guys is that Terrace Marshall is on it for the first time.
Yep.
Kiper puts out his top 25. And this is the first one he's done since this season started, and Marshall is in at number 21. So that puts him ahead of Rondale Moore at Purdue, who was pretty high up the list when they started, and also Rashad Bateman, who was previously a top 10 guy. So both of those guys, he has gone past. Jamar Chase is still up in the top 6, but he is slightly behind Devontae.
Yeah.
So he and Devontae Smith is 5 and Chase is 6. Smith is playing and Chase isn't. I can understand that. I think that Chase, when they're both healthy and they're both playing, is the better receiver. But I would understand why Devontae Smith's getting a little bit of a bump because he's playing and Chase isn't. But by the same token, Micah Parsons isn't playing from Penn State, and he's still in the top 5. He's about where he was before. Penei Sewell, the offensive lineman from Oregon, is still in the top 5 where he was. Trey Lance is number 8 on this list, quarterback from North Dakota State. He's only played one game.
He had his own showcase.
Yeah, right.
It was his game.
Like a baseball showcase. Some of the other notables, Kyle Pitts, a fantastic tight end from Florida who was knocked out of the Georgia game, is number 7. That's up 15 spots. And you watch Kyle Pitts, doesn't look any worse than he looked last year. Look better to me, but then he always looked great.
Yeah.
I'd love to see him in a Saints uniform. It's just he'll never get there. You take a tight end in the top 10, you gotta really be sure.
I'm trying to think of the ones. Vernon Davis, for sure. He was 6,
right,
out of Maryland, and he looked the part. If he's not playing this year, he played last year. I know.
Tony Gonzalez was right there at the edge of the top 10, if I remember right.
It takes a special specimen.
Kellen Winslow, the second, went up that high,
did.
but and didn't work out. Jeremy Shockey
his
went.
Dad had a little bit better career than
much better career, and he's running the legal problems. He's actually in prison now.
Yeah.
Jeremy Shockey was a first-round pick. Had an excellent career. But
Keith Miller was a first-round pick. I mean, you've had first-rounders, but when you start talking about top 10 talents at that position, it's just not one that really ever comes to mind. You start talking about some of the best under top 3 tight end of all time. Antonio Gates was an undrafted free agent. Obviously, he didn't play college football, and that's the reason. But you can get a tight end at different spots for sure.
Zach Wilson, quarterback at BYU, up to number 13 in this, and Mac Jones, the Alabama quarterback, up to number 24. This always happens when you get the closer you get to the draft, the more the quarterbacks tend to go up the list. So neither Mac Jones nor Zach Wilson were ranked anywhere in anybody's first round going into the season.
If I told you take Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields out of it, who's the next on your board? Not Mel Kiper. Who do you think is going to have the most success? And I realize that that's a slippery slope and you're getting yourself in some trouble. I don't think Kyle Trask is that far away from the top 2 guys. I just don't. I've watched him enough in big game scenarios, in big moments, and I've seen his process of going through his receivers, delivering an accurate pass, and he's only going to get better because this is a guy that's not played a lot of football. I think a lot of his poise, he came into Tiger Stadium against the best college football team that we've ever seen on a bum knee and did his damnedest to try to get his team and will him to victory, and he almost did it. I mean, that was one of those nerve-wracking games until LSU pulled away a little bit late.
Kuiper's got him as the 6th best quarterback behind the 5 guys in the first round, so he would be somewhere in that late part of the first round, early part of the second round. If you're the Saints and you're picking 32, wouldn't that be wouldn't that be something?
Let me tell you something. As a Saints fan, if they could get Kyle Trask at that spot, I think that's a steal. You say, and if that's the direction they're going, I think you could get a veteran quarterback on a short-term deal if you don't feel like maybe he needs a year under Sean Payton to be in the film room, whatever.
Who's the last quarterback went number 32 overall?
Drew Brees. Didn't he go 32?
I thought he was the first pick of he was 32, but he was the first pick of the second round because somebody lost a pick that year or something.
I think so.
I was going to say Lamar Jackson.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Who was number 32.
We got multiple examples of it worked
out okay.
All right, cheers. There we go.
Worked out okay. Other LSU guys that are on the list. Torrey Carter, the number 6 fullback. I did that one.
Thank you. It warms my heart.
Ed Ingram, the number 5 rated guard in the draft. Tyler Shelvin, the number 3 rated defensive tackle in the draft. Damone Clark, number 9 inside linebacker in the draft. That he's got to update that. Clark is not playing well at all. Jabril Cox, the number 7 outside linebacker in the draft.
He was the number 1 at one point.
Yeah, he's fallen. He's not playing well either.
Yep.
Kerry Vincent, number 7 cornerback in the draft, and
Zach Von Rosenberg, number 4 punter kicker. Don't leave him out.
Golic Jr. When we come back, hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens. Make that thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
Hello?
What's up, B? What you doing?
Chilling at the office working. You?
Hanging at the job site. Chilling.
Roof's up?
Hey, Greg, roof up? Roof's up! Roof's up!
Roof's up!
Roof's up?
Roof's up!
Roof's up! Roof's up! Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Callahan Injury Lawyers.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Breaking news. Saturday's Ohio State-Maryland game has been canceled because of surging coronavirus cases in the Terps program. It won't be rescheduled. Saturday's Georgia-Missouri matchup postponed due to COVID. No makeup date yet announced. NBA, according to ESPN's Brian Windhorst and Tim Bontemps, the Suns continue to have discussions with the Thunder about acquiring point guard Chris Paul. Phoenix can offer the right pieces for Paul and hold on to its strong young foundation, explains Windhorst.
Likely Ricky Rubio and Kelly Oubre as the core of the trade. There's possibility there could be other pieces, and that's part of negotiation. But those two players essentially would get it done. And, you know, that means that you don't touch your core of Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, and Mikal Bridges.
Our Brian Windhorst. Baseball. Mets righty Marcus Stroman accepted the Mets qualifying offer, so he'll return to New York in 2021 on a one-year, $18.9 million deal. NFL, Panthers running back Christian McCaffrey, injured shoulder, not expected to play Sunday against the Bucks. UConn women's basketball has landed the class of 2021 consensus top prospect, AZ Fudd.
Coming up Thursday, we get you ready for Thursday Night Football and what could be the final start for a future Hall of Famer. Keyshawn J. Will and Zubin, Thursday, 6 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
We're brought to you by Richards Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Hour number 3, Hanging with Hester and Hanny. Josh Ward, our audio producer. Paul O'Neill, our video producer, and along with Jacob Hester, I'm Charles Hanagriff. Tough weekend in college football. There'll be now no matchups between ranked teams. Not that Maryland was, the
exciting,
top 5
though.
teams. Yeah, it was something a little bit
Points.
different. You've got 40 games total this weekend, so it's down pretty considerably. We just got a lot less to work with than we thought we did just really 3 days ago.
We are certainly headed in that direction, but you know what? We can recap a big win from last weekend, and we'll do it now with my guy Mike Golic Jr. of ESPN Radio joining us here on Hanging with Hester and Hanny. Mike, what's going on, brother?
What's up, fellas? How we doing?
We're doing well. We're trying to keep up with the games that are actually going to be played this weekend. I mean, the slate is just getting bare. No ranked matchups. There's not really a game that we can point to and say this is the game of the week, and we thought it was really an SEC problem, but as we just found out, Maryland, Ohio State has been canceled.
Yeah, no joke. I just got to work here in Bristol, and I was talking to a coworker who just broke that news to me. As I was saying earlier to someone else, of a abysmal slate this weekend, like we're talking about here, that looked like the one game where, based on how his brother had been playing, what Maryland had looked like through the early portion, maybe we could get something exciting. But you're right, it is universally a college football problem right now. And people have pointed out, you're like 10, 11 days removed from Halloween. You've got some teams that are already out of things right now. And so you can see people taking their eye off the ball and just, the flat out difficulty of trying to do all of this on college campuses that don't all have the best interest of the football team and what they want to do in mind.
You always kind of knew Halloween was going to be a problem, and we're also seeing in the SEC teams coming off of a bye week. A lot of guys go home, right? They're from all different parts of the country, and then they come back, and you're starting to really see some problems whenever you have these big events and then some bye weeks later in the season.
Yeah, and this is always, I think, going to be the difficulty, and this is always the time of year, whether it was getting into flu season, all the things and concerns that came along with this when people have more time on their hands, the weather starts to get colder and force more people indoors in these spots. And overall, you've been at this. I mean, some places, I know we talk about the Big Ten just getting started, the MAC and the Pac-12 all just coming back, the Mountain West, but a lot of these other conferences, the SEC, the ACC, the Big 12, have been at it for a while now. And what they've been working through day to day, the processes that you have to go with and that we've all had to go with. We've all had to get used to lengthier, more arduous routines to do the things that used to be second nature, old habit. And after a while, I'm sure as you go along in all this, it gets pretty easy to slack off, to relax when things have been going well for the most part there. And the minute that happens, you get the reminder that this virus does not take days off.
All right, Mike, let's talk about something positive. We know there's a lot of games being canceled and postponed across the country. Let's go back a week, though. Let's talk about Notre Dame taking care of the #1 team in the country. They beat Clemson 47-40, and that last drive to get it to overtime by book was something that was beautiful. I mean, nobody really gave them the opportunity to go down and score. They did it, and then they held Clemson off in overtime. I know you, as a former Fighting Irish, had to be proud watching that one.
Absolutely, and I think for a lot of reasons, and you guys know this, it's so difficult to, and people say all the time, you learn how to win or do these things, but it really is a collection of moments like this that you can draw back on that's going to be so huge for this team in the coming years. I can remember when I got to Notre Dame, we were a 500 outfit. I was there for the last 2 years with Charlie Weiss, the first 3 with Brian Kelly, and we were winning 6-7 games a year. And we lost a bunch of bad ones you weren't supposed to lose. You know, Syracuse, Tulsa, UConn. And you would get in the fourth quarter and things would go wrong. And you could feel it on the sideline, that creeping feeling of, oh, here we go again. Like, of course it's happening again to us. And so to see the way they responded in this fourth quarter, to see the veteran leadership of a guy like Ian Book, that offensive line decide, no, we're going to play our best football in this moment. We believe that we're supposed to go out here and win this game. I think that light going on and staying on for this team now is going to pay dividends because everyone has seen it now. The reaction nationally has been what we've been saying around Notre Dame for a while now, for weeks. They've got all the components you need to compete with everyone on the top level. Everyone just needs to see them do it, and we got that on the biggest stage, and I saw it was the biggest draw for a Notre Dame game in probably a decade as far as ratings, and so a lot of people got to see the best version of you that you believed is there all along.
Mike Golic Jr. is our guest. Mike, let's stay in the state of Indiana because the Hoosiers have put themselves into the top 10 with 3 straight wins now. I want your opinion on how good you think they are, and are they potentially walking into a trap this weekend, coming off that big win against Michigan, and Michigan State coming off an awful performance against Iowa as they go up to East Lansing?
You know what? I look at it, and I'm not really worried about the trap game for IU just because all they've known are highs in the early portion of this season, right? Like, it could have been easy to slough off coming off against an unbelievably dramatic win over Penn State, and they still battle back to go out there and not win by accident. Like, if you watch the entirety of that Michigan and Indiana game, Michigan was the better team from the first quarter until the end of that game. Michael Penix Jr. is an outstanding quarterback through the early portion of this season, and they were more physical than Michigan along the line of scrimmage. I think their defense, especially in their secondary, has played really well in the start of this season, and so I don't have a lot of concerns about this team because thus far they've demonstrated they're a consistent outfit. Now, this is a crazy year, and certainly anything can happen in the course of this. Hell, I mean, Michigan State, we saw them as a part of a 10-turnover in total game to start the season, but no, I think this IU team is built to win in very sound, consistent ways right now.
All right, Mike, since we're friends, you can tell me when I'm being crazy. So let me know if I'm being crazy. I actually think Northwestern is the second best team in the Big Ten.
I'm not going to call you crazy because I think right now we're searching for anything in the Big Ten, right? Because the knowns let us down to start the season.
Yeah.
That's part of the difficulty of preseason rankings. But when you see those lofty numbers next to Penn State, and you see a high ranking next to a Michigan team that we heard so much about Joe Milton in the preseason, Harbaugh's finally found his guy, that when the bottom drops out on those as early and as starkly as it has so far, we are searching around here, and Pat Fitzgerald and that outfit have been a model of consistency. Now, it hasn't been consistent greatness necessarily, and we know it's never going to be a home for marquee athleticism, but I think at this point, we have to start looking at, all right, yeah, Indiana, Northwestern, this next wave of teams right now. That's kind of why I was excited to get a look at what Maryland was looking like, because I looked at them before the season and said, all right, we'll see if they give us the same 2 weeks of glory we got last year at the beginning of the year. And so I'm not going to call you crazy because there is nothing crazy about the outside of Ohio State Big Ten this year.
Mike Golic Jr. is our guest. Mike, we got to see the Pac-12 for the first time last week, and we even saw him early in the morning, which produced a big ratings number, so maybe we'll see more of that to come. But I'm wondering what you thought of the overall group, the last ones to start, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah, I think first off, starting with the good, and I know it was certainly something I had my misgivings about, was that 9 a.m. local kick for the Pac-12 for Arizona State and USC getting started. It seemed to do exactly what the Pac-12 has been looking for. Like, Larry Scott has to be looking at this saying, wait a minute, we were part of the national discourse during that college football afternoon. We had a game where one of our main brands had a comeback win and ultimately salvage what I think are a lot of the Pac-12's hopes for this season against an up-and-comer in Jaden Daniels and what Herm is building out in the desert right now. And it all happened when people were seeing it. I've been wondering why they've been so afraid to just get involved in the mix. I get going up against the SEC in that 3 o'clock, 3:30 window is daunting, but is it really less daunting than being forgotten at night at times the way they've been in the past? So I think that's been the good, and unfortunately, the ugly was that uneven start from USC. You can attribute, I'm sure, a little bit of everything to first game of the season, having to kick your first game of the season at 9 in the morning, but Keaton Slovis and this USC offense are coming into the season with a lot of expectation. I think outside of just Southern Cal, I've said for the Pac-12, you've got to be rooting for USC to go out and get it done this year because they bring back quarterback coordinator and head coach, which is super important this year, and they're the brand that can lift this conference as some other programs go through changes. As we see different coaches making their way in, quarterbacks leaving Oregon and then trying to kind of get that program going again, losing all they did on offense. I think USC is vital, and I think they look flawed in that first week in a way that they can't if this conference is going to get back involved in meaningful college football dialogue.
Mike, I've been talking about the group of 5 really all week long. I've been asking a lot of people, look, we've got 7 teams in the top 25 from the group of 5, including 2 in the top 10. And the list is impressive, I think, between Cincinnati, BYU, Coastal Carolina, Marshall, Army, Liberty. They just beat, Virginia Tech. We could go down the list, and it truly would be 2020 to finally get a group of 5 team in the Final Four in the college football playoff. Can you see any path that one of these teams does enough and gets into the postseason with a chance to, take their lumps maybe, but still get into the Final Four, get into the college football playoff?
I think if you're one of those teams looking on the outside in, you need Notre Dame to blow one of these games down the stretch because I think Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, provided Clemson comes out and Trevor Lawrence makes enough of a difference and can get them over the hump in the ACC championship game, I think you're rooting for that to not even be a conversation and for Notre Dame to drop one before that because if the game is too good in the ACC title, they're probably going to put both of those in should Clemson win that rematch. And so that's probably where my focus would be if I were into those teams because you're right. There are so few things resembling anything like a benefit or anything good in the course of this college football season. But the uneven starts put a bigger spotlight on the American, on Conference USA, on the Sun Belt that I got to spend time covering and calling games for this year. And you're right, there are such great teams. There's been talent that's spread more across the country through more conferences than ever. And you would like to see outfits like Jamie Chadwell's, outfits like Luke Fickell's in Cincinnati get rewarded for putting it on tape and doing it all in the middle of this season at an extremely high level.
Mike, we appreciate your time as always. Enjoy the football weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Mike. Mike Golic Jr. from ESPN. We'll take a break. Dr. Stephen Etheridge was with us at the bottom of the hour, hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny.
All right, we're brought to you by Richard Honda every single day, the title sponsor of Hanging with Hester and Hanny. You can find them online at richardhonda.com, where you can do it all, including the buy from home option right there on the homepage. It's a 7-step process that's incredibly easy. You find the vehicle that you want, you fill out a little bit of information, you pick all the features that you want, you can compare vehicles right there side by side on the website, and yes, they do deliver this vehicle to you at the end of the day. But we always encourage you, go see them at 13413 Millaville Greens Boulevard in Baton Rouge. It's I-12 and Millaville. They have over 700 new and pre-owned vehicles priced to move. You'll find something that not only you love, but it fits your lifestyle as well, no matter what you're looking for. Cars, hybrids, midsize or full-size SUV, van, truck, they've got you covered over at Richards Honda. Again, visit the website, richardshonda.com. Go see them at I-12 and Millaville. That's Richards Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling.
Saints coverage, Chiefs, Cowboys, Thursday night, Sunday night, and Monday night football. From the opening kickoff to the playoffs and the Super Bowl, the NFL lives on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You may not know about the 4Kids Foundation, but you've probably heard of the Zurich Classic. And the Zurich Classic exists because of 4Kids. But it's what happens after the tournament that really counts. 100% of the proceeds are donated by the 4Kids Foundation to hundreds of local charities, totaling more than $40 million, all to help local children and families in need. 4Kids helps kids through golf, because every child deserves a shot at a brighter future.
This isn't just another day, it's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
T-Bob Hebert here with breaking news. Front to Back Boat Services is the shop to upgrade your boat tech this fall. With not one but two NMEA certified techs, who better to install your Panoptic sonar, your HD displays. You want to see the fish under the water before you even cast? They have that. Trolling motor you could control with your iPhone? They have that. So what are you waiting for? Get into Front to Back Boat Services right now. Upgrade your boat tech. Make your boating dreams come true. Front to Back Boat Services.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Toyotathon is happening now at Corval Toyota in Opelousas.
Get a 20 Highlander for $4,600 off of MSRP.
So come on down to Happy Town for Toyotathon. That's Corval Toyota in Opelousas.
Happy Town, USA.
Coming up on Jimmy Ott's Game Time, we recap all the Maction from last night and look ahead to the Masters this weekend. We're live from the City Slice Pints and Pizza from 6 to 8 p.m., so come see us or listen to 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
Watched Maction last night? Maction last night.
Of course I watched Maction. If it's Maction and Fun Belt, I'm there. Like I don't care the teams either.
More Maction tonight. Three more games. by the way, no programming note, no Tiger Zone tonight after the Coach O show. We're saving Tiger Zones for weeks where, there are actually games and stuff. So you can watch a little bit of action tonight. There's 3 games on the slate, and you can have a cold Coors Light while you're doing that.
Absolutely can. Nothing goes better with Maction and Fun Belt than a cold Coors Light. I can promise you, because I've done it many, many times, and I plan, Hanny, on doing it again tonight.
Now available in the slim cans. Cold, crisp, refreshing Coors Light, the official beer of Hanging with Hester and Hanny, and also the new Blue Moon Light Sky, citrus sweet, only 100 calories, and with a little bit of the tangerine peel brewed right in, you'll have that citrus flavor even without a garnish. Light Sky from Blue Moon, and of course Coors Light, the official beer of Hanging with Hester and Hanny, or during the Masters. You are allowed while watching at home. If you're an at-home patron, you can have a cold Coors Light while you're watching.
Yeah, I'm not typically a golf watcher, but
they keep knocking out football. It may be all I watch this weekend.
You stole my punchline, Hanny.
Damn it, I'm sorry.
It's fine.
I'm sorry. So with yet another week to kind of hash out exactly how you want to prepare your football team without a game to play this weekend, Coach O talked about practice this week.
Yeah, I think our team has handled this week very well. At the beginning of the week, we were moved on to Arkansas. We didn't think the Alabama game would happen. Then we kind of thought maybe it could happen, so we went back to Alabama. And then we found out yesterday for sure we wasn't playing. But I want to commend the SEC for doing the right thing for the safety of our players. We always knew the season would be unlike any other. But the SEC is prepared, and we look forward to the rescheduling of the game against Alabama. We want to play Alabama. It's a great rivalry for us. They're a great football team, and we want to accept that challenge.
You go to preparing for one team and then have to change in midstream to another. That's hard enough. And then you get something back across the bow and say, wait, might be playing them after all. Hang on. Let me go amend the practice schedule again. But, of course, they're used to that by now.
Eli Drinkwitz a couple of weeks ago said, I prepared for 3 teams in the last 10 days.
How do you do that?
I don't know.
How do you do that?
So many times I can sit here and I can tell you, because I've been in the experience between college and pro football, I don't know. I've never started to prepare for a team and had a game that got canceled or moved or off, on, off, and just back and forth. It's never happened in my football career. I can tell you on this side of it, but being in that building and mentally not really knowing who you're going to play or start to prepare for the next team, and then you find out, well, maybe we are going to play, and you got to go back and, oh, yeah, that team's the number 1 team in the country. It's a hell of a thing.
So it does create an interesting dynamic at practice because of the limited numbers. We talked earlier in the show about how it's more like an NFL practice from a personnel standpoint than a regular college practice. Coach O did comment a little bit on that today as they've had to move some people around.
Yeah, look, hey, he threw a touchdown pass yesterday. The whole team was cheering. Seriously, it was good. We had one of our best practices yesterday. We found out we weren't playing Alabama while the kids were in the meeting. So right before the stretch, I took them out. So, guys, we're not playing this week for Arkansas, but we will reschedule Alabama. And the practice that we do today is going to be for Alabama. They had a lot of energy. I cut some time off, and we had a great practice.
He was talking about Zach Von Rosenberg, who was in at quarterback. So Monday he didn't want to talk about who the backup quarterback was. Yesterday he said, well, Zach Von Rosenberg, or today about yesterday's practice, Zach Von Rosenberg threw a touchdown pass. But by the time LSU gets back on the field, they may have all their quarterbacks back. So is he running more of a scout team? Is he running with the twos? Are they even running twos? Do you need to run twos? I mean, I'm talking about team period. Do you need to run a whole lot of that in a week where you're not playing a game?
No.
I mean, I'm not talking about that they're not practicing. I'm talking about that they're not practicing against specific sets.
Right.
Like there's no reason to go run the twos out there against Arkansas's stuff this week.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of just practicing to stay sharp and to work on yourself and do some other things because, again, the opponent is like, we practice kind of like Alabama because we had it scheduled and we'll get our game plan together for Arkansas. It's all over the place. I mean, if you just took LSU, obviously that's who we care about. If you just took LSU and you went week 1 until this point, there's something that's happened every single week on or off the field that has kind of been a little crazy. And a lot of teams are dealing with that. I'm just saying it's not just this week. It's not just last week. It's not going to be next week. It's every single week in this football season. There's something.
Has been from the beginning of spring.
Okay, every time Dr. Etheridge comes on, which he's about to join us in any minute now, it's kind of become a joke. What's going to be the breaking news? What's going to be the big thing that we talk with Dr. Etheridge about? Because it's going to happen.
Well, today's topic, I believe, is abdominal surgery, but we'll get to that in a few minutes. Last week, you said that you would have preferred that they practice through the weekend rather than go home. So now this week, with now you're talking about a 3-week break. What between games? What kind of schedule would you have for the weekend?
What's today? Let's see.
Today's Wednesday.
I would practice today. I would practice tomorrow. I would give them Friday off, but you're not going home. You're not going back to your hometown. You can go to your house. You're coming back on Saturday, and we're doing something.
You worried about Uncle Tommy, was it?
That's what Saban said.
He's
worried about Uncle Tommy. I'm not worried about Uncle Tommy. I'm worried about getting yourself fixed. Saturday would be we're going to work on Arkansas. Now, we don't know if that game's going to be played, but that's what we're working on Saturday. Saturday is not going to be a balls to the wall, kick-ass practice. It's not what it's going to be, but it's going to be something because you're not going back home.
You're going to be here.
You're going to be in Baton Rouge. That's what I would do. And Sunday, you can have off again. Monday, we're coming back to work. You can't, treat this like a normal bye because you just had that. You had a couple extra days before when you had the Florida game canceled. You've got to start to try to structure something as much as you can in this odd schedule. You have to stay with what your players know because these players were creatures of habit. And we are so used to being structured in this time in the fall, doing something every single day. And when you start to have too many off days, then it gets all over the place. And it doesn't matter how veteran your team is, doesn't matter how much leadership you have. That's just human nature. So I would expect them to stay here in town this week.
And no Halloween parties to go to?
No. You can go have what Les used to call it, a nice picture show with old Sally. You can have that.
And a malted.
Yes.
You don't know what that is, right?
I have no idea.
Look it up during the break. Dr. Stephen Etheridge will be with us when we come back, hanging with Hester and Hanny. Presented by Richard's Honda, home of the warm, fuzzy feeling, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
All right, brought to you in part by Tiger Athletic Foundation. Every single day I tell you, as a former LSU student athlete, they are so important to our success, yes, on the field, but in the classroom as well. Really everything that we do. And we also know that this is a crazy year. We know there's adversity all over the place, and yes, that includes LSU athletics. Due to the restrictions around COVID-19, that loss of essential revenue to LSU athletics, we're starting to hear some numbers, right? We know it's going to be in the tens of millions of dollars. This is a good time to remind ourselves that we are Tigers and we have a go that never stops. LSU and the Tiger Athletic Foundation is urging everyone to donate to the Victory Fund to help keep LSU student athletes going. The Victory Fund will provide financial support for the most critical areas of need, including scholarships, healthcare, academic support for those student athletes. Your support is critical to the future of LSU athletics. To learn more information and to donate, visit victory.lsutaf.org.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens, Make that thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger.
If I build a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers, offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust.
Coming up on Thursdays Off the Bench, we'll update wherever the crazy SEC schedule currently stands. Plus, LSU Executive Chef Michael Johnson answers all your Munchies questions. Hall of Famer Morton Anderson stops by. Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
Brought to you by Richard's Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Dr. Stephen Etheridge with us. Good to have you back. Sure, it's been not a very busy week for you at all.
Not at all.
So, COVID has reared back up here in a big way, and the contact tracing is what everybody wants to talk about. It is the contact tracing so stringent to where getting through it would be a lot harder than not getting through it, because we're doing really well for a while.
Yeah, to answer the question, so when we were looking at the beginning of the season of playing a season this year with COVID and everything going on, the way I kind of broke it down is there were two things we were worried about. The first and most serious is the medical. Is it safe? Is it okay for these guys to be out there? Are we crazy for even thinking about putting this on? And I think we felt very comfortable that the overwhelming answer to that was yes, it is safe. We are okay. I think by the time the season started, now obviously there's a lot of unknown. I'm not going to say we were 100% on certain things, but we felt really, really good with where we were, and we were taking every precaution. The other issue, though, is the logistics, and that's the one that I think we were more worried about, and that's kind of the one that's coming around to bite us now. And with the contact tracing, so basically the rules state if you've had a positive person in close vicinity to you for at least 15 minutes, then you are a positive tracer. So those persons go into quarantine. What helped us early on was that if you've had COVID, you get a 90-day window. So if I had COVID today, 90 days from today, I don't have to go into quarantine. But as soon as you hit day 91, that comes off the table. 90
days ago was the beginning of August.
Yeah.
The first 10 days of August. You guys had been there for 2 months at that point.
Right. So if you think about it, there are guys, and without being specific, there are guys that are in quarantine now because of a close contact that, had this been a month ago, would have been fine. And they'd still be able to play right now. And the reality, look, there's things that we get frustrated with. My personal feeling, I think we can probably stretch it by 90 days, but this is not a me decision. This is not an individual team or doctor. This is a policy. And we have to all, and look, we have football. There are games. I think we're happy with that result. Are there things we can maybe tweak moving forward? But we have to get, it's a lot of people in play and a lot of people above my pay grade making those decisions. So
the quarantine process, is that 10, 14 days?
So it's interesting for SEC right now. And again, it's conference by conference. So
Right.
for example, we know Big Ten's doing 21. With us, if you are sick, once you have a positive, it's 10. But if you are a contact, it is 14, which goes back to some of the original CDC data that we're trying to get changed. And actually at LSU and in the NCAA, we've given a lot of data to the CDC. We have done more contact tracing and especially, I give our athletic trainers, all of them at LSU, we've gotten them all certified as contact tracers. The data that we've put together, and most of that falls on them, that shows when people have gotten sick, when they've gotten better, who's had symptoms, who hasn't, who's had contact. I mean, we have just piles of data just from LSU alone. So we're giving all that to them because really we do think that some of these rules can be changed. But again, I can't change them. We have to have the committee who sits up on high make those decisions.
Now, if you're talking about 14-day process, then that potentially you're not talking about just this week. I mean, you're talking about trying to get guys back for the next week as well.
Yeah, it's an issue. It is. And now you have to look at the day of contact too. So for example, if I'm sick today, but I was hanging out with you 3 days ago, technically that window did start then. So there is a little bit, it's not always quite as bad as it sounds, but yeah, it can be tricky.
If you're actually sick, it's 10 days. If you're just around somebody that's sick, it's 14.
I'm pulling my hair out on that one sometimes.
Okay. It's like they're waiting 4 more days for you to get sick.
Correct. It's a mess. And well, at the time, again, this was all done. We were thinking, how long does it take for this thing to incubate? And there were concerns it might take up to 2 weeks. So again, we need to start taking the data that we have. Because again, early on, absolutely, yeah, let's do this. It makes sense. We aren't sure. But now we have to start going back and reevaluating. That's the stuff we're trying to do. And that's the stuff, like I said, I mean, it's pretty impressive, the data that's there. And like I said, it's pretty cool when you're working with, this CDC, which is the biggest, infectious disease organization in the United States. And and they're asking us for what we think. And that's kind of cool.
Nationally, the big news was that Pfizer has come up with a trial that has been 90% successful and that distribution could start soon. I'm not going to speculate as to when. How does that news strike you, that the practicality of it and being able to implement it?
Well, I think, obviously it's exciting and encouraging to think that we have this floating out there and that it's going to be a reality. But at the same time, I think it's still going to take time. Even let's just say this thing is no hitch along the way. There's going to be issues. We're going to have, we aren't going to be the first people to get it. You have to consider, you're higher at risk as far as health. So your elderly, those with other conditions, your medical personnel, the people who are on the front lines, they're going to be in first in line. And then we have to talk about how safe do we feel the vaccine is. Obviously we think it works, but there's always concerns about, is there any risk of side effects? And right now we feel pretty good, but you're going to have people that are going to be nervous to take the vaccine. And how do we handle that? Do we say, well, sorry, you have to? We can't really do that with our athletes, but we do think it'll protect them. So it's some hurdles still, but definitely it was nice to see that. I agree.
Is 90% effective? Is that common? Because we don't hear numbers. It's 100% effective, or it's 50%. Like, we don't usually hear those numbers. Now you probably do. Is that typical?
So 90 is good, I will say. Obviously, it does depend on the vaccine. Mm-hmm. In a given year, the flu vaccine usually is lower tthan that. We've had some good years, but how many times somebody, I got the vaccine, I still got the flu. Now we still think it helps you. You probably get less sick. There we go. Here we have one right here. We think it does. You get usually milder symptoms and things of that sort. But 90% to me is a good number. I think I think I'd be encouraged by that for sure.
Let's move down the hallway to the abdominal surgery room, and you tell me what rest and rehabilitation versus surgery entails for somebody with an abdominal problem.
Right. So when we're talking about abdominal injuries, it is hard to know. Sometimes it's obvious both ways. If you have a little mild strain, of course, we're gonna do the conservative. If you have some kind of huge defect that's causing some kind of problems, you got to fix that. But when we're talking about when to fix, when not to, sometimes if it's not that black and white, you'll obviously try the conservative approach first. I think in most settings, that's the way that medicine works. We're gonna say, look, less is more in the beginning. Plus, you want to let some of the swelling settle down. You want to let the pain settle down, then do your reevaluations. When you're talking about fixing, if we're talking about surgery at least, there's sometimes just going in and repairing if you have a torn muscle, whether it be sewing muscles together, attaching it back down if it pulled off of a bone. Sometimes you can have to do a mesh, which is kind of like what you hear about with hernia surgeries. Because kind of what a hernia is a defect in the abdominal wall. So sometimes when you have these injuries, people will have to go in and have some type of a mesh procedure or something along those lines. It really depends on the nature of the injury, the location of the injury. Is there any complicating factors? Like I said, is there a true defect that we have to go up and fix versus if it's just a torn muscle that isn't scarring down or healing appropriately, sometimes you got to help it out.
you don't ever hear, like you always hear like his specialty is shoulders or feet or hands or knees. You don't ever typically hear that. So who would be who's a go-to, like what's their specialty that would be their go-to?
Right. So it's interesting for a long time, if you talked about at least these core muscle injuries, so the sports hernias, there were really only a couple of guys in the country that were really recognized as specialists, so you'd be shipping your guys out to, someplace, hours away, another state, just to get this done. And that's what we used to have to do. Now, obviously, it's become more commonplace. If you're talking about more of just a basic abdominal injury, usually we're talking to general surgeons. So these are not the orthopedists. These are not the bone guys. These are, because if you think about, who does the operations for, hernias for one, or appendix injury, or not injuries, but appendectomies, gallbladder surgeries, all that, you're dealing with the abdominal wall. So it makes sense the person to fix it is the one who's dealing in that area the most. So usually we're actually more of a general surgeon problem there.
What's the timetable on recovery from a surgery?
Well, it depends on the nature, like I was saying earlier. But, usually for any of these, you got to let it scar down and heal. You got to let the swelling go down. So, it's usually at least a 6-week recovery. I mean, realistically, to be able to do a sport-like activity, sometimes longer. If you're talking about some of these core muscle surgeries, sometimes they're a little quicker depending on the nature of it. But as a general rule, 4 to 6 weeks is probably the absolute shortest, usually, and that's just to get you back doing stuff. Maybe a little longer for being realistic.
Hey, we got to get my guy Hanny in the cold tub. My man's he's getting around, but it's not fast. It's not a fast pace. We got to get him in the cold tub. We got to get him fixed.
I am willing at this point to try alternate solutions to this pain. Okay, so what you think it'll work? I'm willing to try it. Pretty much.
We got all kinds of gadgets. We can try lots.
Well, okay. As soon as the building's not on lockdown, I'm gonna come see you. Because something hurts, man, and it needs to stop hurting. All right, so another weekend off. I mean, what do you do with all your spare time?
Oh, that's a good question. This, it's a lot nicer when you can plan ahead. Last week we had our event, the Brock Rock and Wine, which for those who made it, thank y'all. It was a really great turnout this year. Man, I have no idea this weekend. Hopefully just hang out with the family.
More important question, how's the flag football going? I know postseason's coming up, playoffs. We have our last regular season game tonight against my guy, Doug Thompson's team, former LSU pitcher. It's gonna be a great contest. They put a pretty good beating on us last time we played them, but it's neither here nor there. Second opportunity. So how's your flag team going?
We've had a good second half. We had 3 of the last 4, 4 of the last 5 actually.
All right.
So, yeah, we're doing pretty well.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like we can't this has been a resource for us that we can't thank enough.
It's been the most important segment of the week.
I mean, we have a great relationship, obviously, with Brock here on the show, but Dr. Etheridge, man, we can't thank you enough because, like we mentioned, we're not. That's not lip service. Every time you come in here, there's something.
It's been crazy. It's funny. I saw we obviously knew this was developing. We kind of had some whispers last week. We saw it coming, but I was like, it's going to hit probably Tuesday. That was my guess, and sure enough,
here we are. But LSU not the only one dealing with it. There's only 3 games in the SEC, and other conferences are starting to come out. So definitely not just an LSU problem.
Thanks, Doc. Appreciate it. Ask us when we come back. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
Brought to you by Garcia Roofing. We tell you every single day, there's no gimmicks with Garcia Roofing. You're going to get the best service with a Garcia guarantee, and there's no gimmicks. This is not a gimmicky company. This is someone who stands behind their word. They give free roof inspections because they know they're going to give you the best thing possible. They're going to give you an itemized list of exactly what you need. They're going to give you pictures of what you need. They did it for me. They can do it for you. We can promise you with that Garcia guarantee, you're going to be happy with your decision.
You know what? Roof repair, roof replacement, roof cleaning, all of your commercial roofing. Celebrating 29 years and the largest the largest residential roofing company in South Louisiana. You can get it in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, in Lafayette, and on the North Shore. Roof now, pay later. Call 756-3100 online. It's GarciaDidMyRoof.com.
Off the Bench, Hanging with Hester and Hanny. After further review and more are all live daily on the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge YouTube channel. Subscribe now to interact with us inside the live chat driven by Bayou Ford.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens. Make that thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger. If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And and I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Service Master Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Master Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Master Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR presented by Pluckers. We'll have the latest of what we know about LSU's modified schedule now that the LSU-Bama game has been postponed, and Russ Mitchell joins us. 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
Before we go to Ask Us, give me the details on that contract extension that Hugh Freeze signed.
All right, let's see. It would pay Freeze an average salary of $3 million plus per year.
And it goes through what year?
I'm trying to find the year.
Like 2026, right?
I think so. I think it is 2026. I think it's a 6-year extension.
Why would you do that if you're Liberty? Honestly, why would you do? Well, he's doing great. Yes, he's doing great.
Doing fantastic.
Okay. He's there. He's paid over $2 million a year. So, we're going to give you $3 million. Is that going to stop any SEC team from going after him?
It's not.
Is he going to turn down any SEC job because of that?
Are we certain that he's going to be allowed to be in the SEC?
No, we're not. The commissioner's dead set against it. If you read Ross Dellinger's piece.
He wouldn't even let him be a coordinator.
Right. Dellinger's piece, which came out, I think, about a week ago, the commissioner is dead set against it. Well, okay, well, ACC, Big 12, a much bigger job. That contract is not going to stop him from going to do that. But what it will do is if things go sideways, if things go south or whatever, then you will have to pay him out.
All right, I'm going to be Jimmy. I'm going to be someone who just throws another point and argues with you just to do it real quick.
Yeah.
Okay, because, Jimmy likes to stir your pot just a little bit.
I was there. I remember.
Okay. Right now, his situation, he doesn't look like he can come back into the SEC. We know he's very religious. We know that. And we know that he
says he is.
He had some stuff that didn't point to that. But Liberty is a private, obviously religious university.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's a situation where he feels like that's where he has to be, and he is getting $3 million a year, and other people would frown upon hiring Hugh Freeze because of his past dealings, and that's where he feels that is the safest place for him and his family.
The athletic directors continue to get run over on these contracts. There is nothing in this for Liberty. Nothing. He's going to be the coach this week. He's going to be the coach next year unless he gets a big-time offer. And if he gets a big-time offer, this contract is not going to be worth the paper it's written on to Hugh Freeze. But if it goes the other way, Liberty's on the hook. Last week, Kyle Whittingham, I think he signed it yesterday, at Utah, who has been a very successful coach out there, signed a contract extension through 2027. What the hell for? What good does that do Utah? Honestly, what good does that do Utah? To sign him up for another through 2027. What are the chances that Kyle Whittingham's going to leave you for a better job? Let's say USC called, if he even wanted that job. Or Texas called, if he even wanted that job. What's it going to do for you? Nothing. He's going to leave. You're not losing Kyle Whittingham over money. You're losing him to a bigger program. Extending him in a contract is not going to do anything other than if things go south and you have to fire him, you have to pay him out. Why do athletic directors continue to get run over by these agents? I'm Bo Pelini. I want $2 million. No. You can have $1 million. You don't want that state, Youngstown State. I want a contract through 2027. What for? What on earth do you need a contract through 2027? You've got a contract through 2025. I need a contract through 2027 to do my job. You know what? Go do your job somewhere else.
Yeah.
You don't need 2 extra years that all it does is protect you. Doesn't protect me at all. As a university, as the athletic director. All it does is mean I got to pay you more today, I'll fire you. That's it. Because I'll bet you that contract that Hugh Freeze is signing right now includes no buyout to go to an SEC school if Sankey ever, gives him his approval, or any ACC school, or any Big Ten school. He's gonna leave. This is not doing you a damn bit of good. Through 2026, if good Lord willing, I'm still here in 2026, and Hugh Freeze is still a coach at Liberty, I will eat my shoes on the air.
Whoa. I will eat my shoes.
Will eat my shoes. Give me some ketchup. Give me some salt and pepper. Give me a steak knife.
How are we cooking this?
Yeah. I will eat my shoes if he's still a coach there, and I'll eat Josh's shoes if he's still there under that contract.
Okay.
Why in the hell do you need a contract 6 years from now in a COVID year when I'm trying to cut costs? Do you need a contract in 2026 to do your job in 2020? Hell no. The ADs versus the agents in this. This is the Globetrotters against the Generals. I mean, the agents are winning this thing every night in a rout. The athletic directors are still falling for the bucket full of confetti. Or did you want to ask us? I'm sorry. I mean,
you do whatever you want. I mean, you're on a roll.
Every time they fall for it, every time. Look, your shoe's untied. 2-year extension. McFly.
They're too young to get what you're saying over there, McFly.
Oh, ask us. Or any of the 104.5 people going to UCLA game next year. I think we're all planning on going.
Yes.
Good Lord willing that it's.
Yes. Don't even say it. Don't even say it. Yes,
okay,
we'll be there. We'll be there.
Ask us, do you think LSU will get a transfer quarterback? No, I don't.
They got another one coming in.
Room's crowded. Room's crowded. Ask us. It's Veterans Day. Did anyone in your family serve? You did this at the beginning of the.
Yep. My dad was in the Marines. My dad's dad was actually in the Coast Guard and in the Marines. And then my mom's dad was in the Army.
My grandfather was in the Navy in the Pacific Theater in World War II. Let's see. Ask Hester earlier question about 2005 Citrus Bowl prep. We did this yesterday, didn't we? It was pretty screwed up.
It was kind of a joke.
Yeah. Ask us, how many SEC games will baseball win? How many will basketball win? I'm waiting to see how many games LSU baseball is going to play in the SEC because
and
basketball. We've actually got a basketball schedule.
But
the schedule's not even out for baseball. They could be playing quite a few more than they normally do. I think the basketball team can win. I think they can win 14 or 15.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, this is a talented basketball team. If they had a run where they only lost 2 or 3 SEC games, I would not be shocked. I truly think they have that kind of talent. Now, we've seen talent not work itself out, but on paper right now, it's a good squad.
Ask us, why is Freeze banned from the SEC? The recruiting stuff bothered Sankey an awful lot, although to listen to Freeze's side of the story, that a lot of that happened was not on him. Okay. The night of the draft was incredibly embarrassing.
Yeah.
The Laramie Tunsil with the gas mask thing. You had an agent, a would-be agent who had an axe to grind. Then you had the Houston Nutt deal where they were going back and looking because he had basically thrown it all on Houston Nutt, and Houston Nutt hired a lawyer. The lawyer went through and looked and said, well, guess what? Not only is my client not guilty, but your client is calling hookers.
Yep.
So take your favorite one as to why Sankey was not wild about having him back in the league. My only problem with Hugh Freeze is that what you do on your time is between you and your family, you and your school. Listen, as long as if you have problems personally, as long as you're not breaking the rules of the, you want to have an extramarital affair, go right ahead. But unless it's with a volleyball player on the back of a motorcycle and you hired that person to go to work in the football office, your employer's going to let that be between you and your wife. But when you're so sanctimonious about it and you're saying, I'm so holy and all that stuff. I mean, don't preach to me if you're going to go off and do this. That's my only problem with him. The football part is fine. I mean, the guy can coach. Ask us, pumpkin pie or eggnog?
Pumpkin pie.
Yeah, pumpkin pie for sure. Well,
turkey or ham?
Huh?
Turkey or ham?
Turkey.
Going ham.
Well,
I want them both.
Yeah. I
mean, there'll be plenty of leftovers. Thanks to everybody for participating. For Josh Ward, for Paul O'Neill, for Jacob Hester, I'm Charles Hanagriff saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for AFR 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
T-Bob Hebert here with breaking news. Front to Back Boat Services is the show.